Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody, depending on where you are in the world. We're here with the Tour of the Gila, TTT Stage 1, virtual, out on Zwift. I'm Nathan Garrett. Dave Trolls next to me, coming out of Colorado. I'm here at the Zwift Community Live production space, and I am super excited to be bringing this 3 stages over this weekend, Dave. And Dave, this is, when it comes to in real life racing, this is your wheelhouse. And I'm absolutely so incredibly stoked. Pro Conti US Racing, as well as some international UCI World Tour teams jumping in, men's and women's racing. Very awesome to be able to do this. And we got women in the pens lining up, 6:45 start. We got a 8 p.m. start. That's all Central Time coming up here, Dave. Super exciting. Microphone, Dave.
Big, big thank you to Eric Hill as well, Nathan. He worked with Jack Brennan, the race director. If you would indulge me, I would first like to thank Jack Brennan. Jack has been putting on this. Well, he didn't do the original Tour of the Gila. The race started in 1986. What's amazing is this race has remained virtually on. This is by far the biggest change going virtual with Gila this year, Nathan. And thanks to Zwift Community Live for making this possible, because this race is a cornerstone in the American community. Silver City, New Mexico, which is the host community, is the hub for every stage. Goff Park would start stage 1 traditionally. The time trial it's one of the most historic proving grounds in the sport. Doing a team time trial on that course, Nathan, would be absolutely insane. If you looked at the profile, it's like a dromedary's back, 2 big humps, a turnaround. They're going 55 miles an hour. Out here, we found the perfect team time trial course today. But a lot of things to start with here this evening. A thank you to Eric Hill, Project Echelon. We're going to talk about how you can support the work that they're doing in helping veterans right now. To Jack Brennan and his team in Silver City, we love you guys. I know that this was really hard missing the event this year. So we're going to do our best to replicate the energy, the fun. Nathan, not many people have been to Silver City. You've got to put it on your bucket list to go see this event in real life. And Jack was telling me 100% they are back for next year. So,
Yeah,
assuming.
That's definitely what we're all about here, is replicating as best as we possibly can and highlighting what an amazing event it has been. And really excited to be able to do that and be a part of it. I definitely want to give a shout out, though, to Project Echelon. We got a quick little video to play out here to give you guys an idea of what they're all about and their support of veterans here. So as we do that, because they're the race organizers, they've put a lot of this together. And so let's go ahead and throw that out there before we get into the start of the TTT. So Project Echelon, it looks like we lost Dave for just a moment. It looks like maybe on a quick little break. We are in the pens, though, here real quick, everybody, as we're heading out in just a moment. Just so you guys know, the way that this works here for the pens is that WTRL has put this together, and they do an amazing job, actually, to do TTTs, which is not something that actually has a game mode in the world of Zwift. So WTRL have actually, in the background, put all the data together to get all the start times on board. So we do have the start list here for everybody. We're just going to go through this with splits as well, as they will be jumping off. And it is going to be Agalico here, actually, BMC are going to be the first ones out on course. We're going to be calling them the Viennas for today. The women are in WTR, are always the Viennas, and then it will be the Espressos later on today. That will be the men's side of things. So there'll be a men's splits. There'll be 2 different pens for the men. As you can see here, these are the start lists for the day, as you can see here. So these are all of the teams that will be jumping out here. So the first to go out for the TTT, as you can see, the one that has started there out on course, Agalico BMC have jumped out. Amy D Foundation will be out next. Then it will be Butcher Box Cycling, Femme Equipe Swiss Wellness, followed up by Impetu Ciclismo Feminino, Orient Racing, Vivo Racing, Team Infinite, Team Tibco, Silicon Valley Bank, 2020s out there as well. U.S. national team as well as Velocity Vixen on the women's side of things. So the TTT has gotten going. We'll have marks at the 4K, 10K, and 16 for us out here today. Dave, Agalico BMC out on course here, and looks like they're doing pretty well here with 3 up on getting fairly organized.
Yeah, boy, have we learned a lot with the WTRL, the World Tactical Racing League, about how to operate in this mode. The team time trial mode is really elusive. Not a lot of riders get a chance to compete in this discipline. So, Nathan, as you talk about those time checks, we'll be watching those closely. Obviously, when we look at the teams in this race, the USA national team, they've got Crystal Doble-Hickok out here. She's had a lot of success. I was a little worried about a 3-rider team, Nathan. There we go. Looks like things are coming back together now for the Ogolico BMC squad. Amy D Foundation is going to be following them. They're going out at 2-minute intervals. But the team to beat tonight, in my mind, Nathan, a lot of people talk about 2020. They've got a great reputation out here. But Team Tibco Silicon Valley, they've got the wattage goddess. That's Lauren Stevens. She has been en fuego. And Nathan, this is a really good example of how challenging it is to keep a team time trial squad together. So when we race with WTRL, we take the time off of the 4th rider's front wheel. Well, let's see what we've got going on here. It's going to be very interesting to see how the teams. That's going to be USA national team wearing a black jersey today. Mari Holden, Olympic silver medalist, world champion. She was telling me that the team, they're looking to get their in-game jersey for the national team. But today they're racing in black. We've got a lot of teams out there, but this was the first squad to start. Again, going out at 2-minute intervals. Nathan, we'll be jumping back and forth as we go back to the pen and look to find some of the big teams that are going to be heading out. But
we'll be jumping
again,
back to
if you want to go to
just a moment, as the next team will be jumping out on course, it will be the Amy D Foundation. They're just waiting for their moment. 2-minute intervals, as you said. The men will be going out at 1-minute intervals, and we timed that just to make sure that everybody was getting out on course within the time that we had for the event, essentially, as well as making sure that people aren't running into each other out on course as well, because this is going to be a screaming race, a short race out here today, that's for sure. And I think they're going to be finishing probably under 30 minutes, I would say, for this out here today.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be really quick. It's going to be an intense 30 minutes, that's for sure. Also remembering that the 2020 squad has got Jen Lubke and Shayna Paulus out here, two also very experienced, I would even say veteran esports racers. So Angolico, the Tour of the Gila, Nathan, has always been very international. Jack has worked hard, especially with the women's field. Actually, equal men and women. You see a lot of Central and South American teams coming up and racing. So as we watch these squads now, they're finding a good rhythm here. You can go to zwiftpower.com to get more information on the course. Actually, just about anything you could imagine is there. Amazing data.
Yeah, we do. It's a pretty amazing job that Zwift Power has done with all the data that you can find out on course, actually, for all the events, actually. So Amy Day Foundation has got on course. Let's go ahead and see if we can bring them into view here as they are hustling, it looks like, and it's a solid leading things out here from what I can see. 5.1 watts per kilogram from O'Neill at this point, and then they, very well organized. It looks like a little bit better on their start. It looked like Agalico had a little bit of a struggle figuring out when they were supposed to go. The first 3 riders jumped off the gun. Then we saw a catch up. There were some matches burnt there, figuring out when they were supposed to take off. A little bit different in the virtual world, that's for sure. When it comes to we were saying this in the team meeting, actually, nobody's holding your seat. You got to know when to go, right? Like nobody's
right. No,
absolutely.
Catherine Curie is the team director when you talk about Amy D Foundation. This squad is amazing. A lot of riders have ridden with Amy D. The foundation received one of the RAFA grants last year, a huge boost for them with the amazing work they've been doing, helping young women find their passion through the sport of cycling, which is exactly what Amy was doing. Amy passed away in 2013, a super unfortunate training accident in Belgium as she was getting ready for a huge cyclocross season. She raced for the Telnet Fidea team, which was and is what was one of the biggest teams in the world. It was a huge moment for an American rider to be there and doing that. She was quite a young woman, and this team, this foundation, boy, have they honored Amy's lives. A lot of times there's a huge spark of love and understanding compassion for a rider when they pass, but rarely do you see 7 years later a foundation just absolutely rocking and rolling. So really, really impressed. Aisha McGowan is racing for this team. She's a rider of note, certainly, doing a really good job of welcoming more riders into this not only racing but cycling community, as we're seeing a worldwide bike boom right now. If you take a look at this squad again, Amy D Foundation, very well organized, a much better, I would say, first few K here as they motor Nathan up to the 3K point. We are going to have checks, so 23K of racing. This is not a significant challenge, but in the middle part of the race during the 23K, they do go over a bit of a climb, but it is certainly, I think it goes up to maybe 3%, Nathan. Let's talk quickly about the course as we watch the Amy D Foundation rolling along here on the first ever stage of the Virtual Tour of the Gila, the 34th edition. Coming to you live from virtual. This doesn't look that different than outside of Silver City. But Nathan, talk about the course. Do you even call it a climb, or is it just a riser?
Yeah, so essentially it is a pretty good, significant climb. It does not have any serious, sharp undulations in it, though. There's no punches in the front end of the climb. On the back end, when you're descending, there is one little wall in there, but it's nothing that's going to really put the pedals to put too much force on the pedals, actually. So it's definitely going to suit a team time trial, actually, because you're going to be able to work together over the top of the climb. There's going to be drafting on it as it does come up and down. I think it's a 4 to 5% gradient at max. At times, the average on it, I think, is 2% or a little bit over 2%. You can find a ton more information on that over on ZwiftInsider.com. Search sand and sequoias, but definitely does suit the TTT to be able to work together over the top. Very difficult to break things up when you're in a scratch race, that's for sure. Raced it over the weekend, actually, for 5 laps on the KISS 100 myself, and it was very difficult to break the pack apart. And, it ended up in a group sprint when it came down to that. So it does suit, though, the working together. That's for sure. We will be on the flatter sections here. We aren't doing laps here, so they're going to only see this once as we do head on through the Oasis here with Agolico BMC. And they will then head on over toward the little bit of a city section, the only life really out in the world of the Fuego Flats, and then a right-hand turn into the climb. There'd be you could take a left on over toward Watopia Mountain for the KOM, but you take a right instead toward the Dinosaurs and Titans Grove, which is a part of the Sand and Sequoias. Sand part being the Fuego Flats, and the Sequoias being the area where we find some of the more prehistoric sections with the large redwoods and the dinosaurs in the Sequoia sections of the Sand and Sequoias.
So if you headed over to zwiftpower.com, you'd be able to see a lot of information, including a good look at the course, as well as what riders are on each team. So they're going to be starting again in 2-minute intervals here. It's going to be interesting to watch once we let the Tibco in 2020. Now, these are two of the teams that have spent a lot of time honing their craft out here in the world of Zwift. So this is our benchmark team, Nathan. Actually, let's pump the brakes. I got to admit, Nathan, having a little trouble with the video on this end. Not really able to, if you could take a look at that. I know you got so many things running there, but we should be able to take a look at the splits at 4K for our first team. So
and
Nathan, just so you know, I wouldn't be able to read that.
608 currently. Yeah, you're good to go. There, we went ahead and swept it up just so that our productions could be in the background there. But you should be fine now.
So actually, dead even. It looks like
606, or is that a 608 and a 608? Actually, yeah. Amy D Foundation. It looks like solid results here coming on through at the 4K. Let's go ahead and see how they are. And yeah, it is going to be dead even between the two there. The U.S. national team then right behind at 21K, it looks like. And then the Butcher Box is out on course now as well. We can go ahead and jump in with them, actually, as they are flying. It looks like extremely motivated as I'm seeing 4 or 5 riders with them at this point out on course. Let's go ahead and jump in with the Butcher Box as they have just started their race.
So I thought we were going to be starting alphabetically. I think that they slipped USA national team up a few spots there. Butcher Box is a new women's team this year. Really cool to see that. We again, when this race came together, just a few more folks to thank, Nathan, including Michael Engelman, who's been a tremendous supporter of women's racing in general, but certainly women's racing in the United States. And he was very much one of the key players, along with Jack and the whole team at Tour of the Gila, that made sure that we had a women's component to this event as well. So ButcherBox, a new women's team, they would have never raced at the Tour of the Gila before, but it's really nice to see them out here doing a very good job as we pick up so W. Allison, I'm going to guess, is Whitney Allison. Is that there's certainly more than one W. Allison, I'm sure, in the sport, but Whitney Allison, based right here in Fort Collins, Colorado, actually, and was second place at the first stage of last year's Colorado Classic up in Steamboat. A super talented rider. So ButcherBox Cycling, again, let's see how they do here. These ladies would be just getting familiar with this format. 23K here for stage one. Tour of the Gila has never done a team time trial. This is new to a lot of riders, not just virtually, but in real life as well. Nathan, we talked about the ins and the outs of team time trialing. Olivia Ray, winner at the Gateway Cup this last year, 2019. She goes to the SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, which is surprisingly turning into a cycling powerhouse school as well. Maybe not surprisingly, but she, out of New Zealand, her brother, people might know, Alexander Ray, who raced in the United States a couple of years ago. He was hit by a car. It was almost it was like a life and death battle, but he's, I hear, doing quite well lately. But Olivia Ray is, without any doubt, don't kid yourself, one of the best sprinters in America. Nathan, if Olivia's figured out how to e-race, she will be tremendously dangerous out here this week, especially in stage two, as this is a 3-stage Tour of the Gila that we have. ButcherBox, good to see you out here racing in our pro women's field at our virtual Tour of the Gila.
Yeah, absolutely awesome with everybody jumping in, that's for sure. We're going to take a quick
Nathan,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, our friends at the Amy D Foundation are really benefiting from some support that they get. I talked about Dan Dombrowski. He was the older brother that was helped get Amy into cycling, actually, when she moved out to Colorado. She lived up in Steamboat when she first moved here before coming down to Boulder. They wanted to make sure that we gave a special shout out to the man that does it all for them. There you go, Nathan. Great job. That's a lightsaber in Scott's hand there. Looks like
he's the Swanee / mechanic for the Amy D Foundation. And I got a private message right before the race. Can we give a shout out to Scott the mechanic for the Amy D Foundation, the Swanee, who supports, huge supporter. And hopefully this will give him a couple extra watts as they're on screen here as we look at Ward now for the Amy D Foundation. They're 8K in 11:14, absolutely hammering at 178 beats per minute, 214 watts currently coming from this rider. So solid 4+ watts per kilogram so far for them. So shout out to Scott and all the support that he gives the ladies here from the Amy D Foundation for sure. And definitely keep that stuff coming. We absolutely love the background information and what's behind the scenes to keep everybody rolling out in the real world as well as on Zwift now.
Maddie Ward was a top 10 rider a couple of years ago, was her breakthrough ride in Colorado at the Colorado Classic. Colorado Classic is relatively new, but it's all women's event that just did a tremendous job last year. Again, when you talk about Amy D Foundation, I know that Aisha McGowan was one of the riders that was there. And it's one of these teams that I kind of liken it to the old Jelly Belly team. They're an easy team to like. When you hear the backstory of the squad and who Amy was, and all of these young women are working very, very hard in the sport, and the support that they get from Amy D is just world class. Kathleen Curie, who's the team director, used to race with Amy back on the WebCore team. WebCore was back. It's interesting that Tibco is still around because it kind of gives you a perspective of the timeline of professional women's cycling in the United States. Tibco has the team led by Linda Jackson. It's one of the greatest stories. I think we'll start celebrating that more and more as we get back to in real life racing. But I like the way this team is working, Nathan. We learned a lot at the World Tactical Racing League. Our friends Martin and Steven, come join us. Get your team together. Come out and race on Thursdays. It's an absolute blast. So on some weeks, Nathan, we have 4,000 people out. Over 600 teams at times will be competing. Amy D Foundation is really putting some mustard on it now as this squad is rolling. Look at that, 45 kilometers per hour, Nathan. They've got the pedal down to the medal. Let's take a look at some more splits coming in. Now, again, they came in with that 6:08, but we've seen Femi Keep, Swiss Wellness. This is a team I remember well from the Tour of the Gila. Look at that time, Nathan, 5:55. I'm going to expect that you see the 2020 squad down in that 5:40 range. And look out, I think we're going to see something 5:30. I know it's going to be very, very fast early, but they've got Emily Newsom with Tipco. You've got Lauren Stevens. That team is nothing but monsters.
Now, looking here at the current leaders at the 4K, actually, this is the Femi Equip, actually, and they are flying with a 5:55 so far, 15.9 in so far. They've almost pulled away. They got over 13 seconds over the BMC as well as Amy D Foundation. Butcherbox a little ways behind there, and then we do see a Impetu Ciclismo Femenino there a little ways behind as well. So they are killing it here from Femi Equip.
You can hear me clucking like a Belgian sports director because this is Emily Marcolini. She's a lot of clucking and whistling and So Emily Marcolini is I think a rider for the future, Nathan. I see her on Canadian Olympic teams, but maybe not by Tokyo. But we've got Paris and we've got Los Angeles to look forward to. Maybe 24, 28. Marcolini's going to have her day in the sun. There you go, looking at the that beautiful Canadian maple leaf flag. Only 4 riders though, Nathan. That early split time is going to be hard to hold off the charging squads that have a few more riders. But I like the heart that we're seeing here. Femi Keep is the team that we're watching right now. And Charlotte Backus, Nathan. We know Charlotte well, don't we?
This is this is an experienced team. That's the other thing I think too, is that they are extremely experienced. Charlotte as well as Leah Thorvaldsen. So this is some serious experience, and I think that might be why we're seeing so much good organization and a good time coming in from them out on Zwift here today on this Fuego Flats.
I'm so excited, Nathan, because when you say it's all riders who've done their work, they've been in the salt mine for years, and now they've made those deposits at the Pain Bank and the Knowledge Bank to tell you that the wattage library, believe it or not, I don't think there's such a thing, but we'll leave it at cottage. But as you take a look at this group now, so Leah Thorvaldsen, the first ever Zwift Academy winner, she's one of the most respected women out on the Zwift platform. Just a huge, huge personality, great person. Charlotte Backus, this young rider out of Colorado, she's actually racing at altitude right now. I'm going to guess that she's in Park City, Utah. Charlotte is one of the best stories in esports. She rides with Socks for Watts, which is in our WTRL world. We called them the scrappy underdogs. Well, Nathan, they have just outright taken the last 2 WTRLs. They are on an absolute roll. They've got Sidic here as well. This team it's small but mighty. When you talk about the squad you're looking at right now, Femi Keep, all 4 of these riders will make it to the finish. I could easily see them being one of the squads that puts a rider on the podium when this one is done and dusted. In order to win the overall at this Gila, you have to come out of today with your head above water. Impressive work, Femi
Dave. Moving on over then back to the climb. The first team to start the climb is going to be Agalico and BMC, and they're putting in some solid times here, but Amy D at that next marker has bested them at 10K there at 14:11, 14:52. They're going to have to really step it up here, up and over the top of the climb. 164 beats per minute currently coming from Gutierrez now at the front end, leading things out for the team. 4.3 watts per kilogram coming through from Prieto as well. So solid efforts here, but they're really going to have to make up a huge amount of time. Maybe they've been saving it for the climb though. Looking at some of the heart rates here, 172. So definitely pushing on up into what is usually a threshold effort, that's for sure. So a few of them were a little bit lower. I saw one, I thought, in the 162s. Maybe Gutierrez holding back a little bit, maybe a low max heart rate. Could be that as well. But they're going to have to bring some time back, I think, if they're going to have some hopes of a top finish here.
Good to see the Mexican flag. Silver City, Nathan, you, my friend, could easily ride your bike down into Mexico from Silver City. It's, well, maybe not easily just because it's so hot and rugged out there. The Gila National Forest is one of the real highlights for everybody's trip down to Silver City. This actually looks like what you get when you're on your way up to Pinos Altos, which is where the Gila Monster stage ends. Those pine trees look really familiar out there, no question, as we roll along with the Ogolico team. Again, Viva Mexico. I love how many of it's not just the Mexican-based riders, a lot of Colombians, Ecuadorians. It's a real mix of South and Central Americans that make their way to Gila. I know that Jack loves that. The community obviously embraces it. Nathan, when you walk around in Silver City, I mean, half of the people in town are speaking in Spanish, right? I mean, it's absolutely culturally cool for these kids that are going to the elementary school that's right in the middle of the crit course to be able to cheer on riders that speak their native language. It's a beautiful thing to watch. It's one of my favorite things about cycling. Let's take a look at more of these splits right now. The Femi Keep is in 419. Okay. 419. Take a look at that. They are absolutely crushing it out there. But don't forget that we're just going to be looking at our first Tibco and 2020 splits coming in. Okay. And Orion is out there. Revo out there as well, Nathan. 607. So there's a few teams clustered right in that 607, 608 range. Good job by Team Infinite, presented by Saris. 546 for that squad. We'll dig in a little bit on that one as well, Nathan. But I'm really excited to see what we're going to get from Tibco and 2020 here, along with the Velocity Vixens. And, okay, so that makes sense. USA National Team is still waiting to get out on course. Okay.
Yeah,
we're locking it down here.
Little bit of a jump of a gun. We'll see if there's a reset on the time there a little bit for them, if they can get some help on the background. So I think that's why U.S. national team was showing up a little bit early. But now we are seeing Feminine Equip. Now they maybe went out a little bit hot. They're coming back. Amy D Foundation. We're taking a look at them right now. Curry here on course there. Levine right behind Ward there. Now you can see 419, but look at the last split that they came through with. It was 13 seconds. They've etched away just a little bit. 1 second back here. We'll see if they can continue on to bring back those seconds. And with such a short course, every one of those seconds matters. That's for sure. Out on a TTT, they're going to be looking for every watt that they can possibly do to come up against that, because that leading team, Femi Equip, is absolutely killing it still. But they're not holding on to the gap up front at that 10K. We'll see as they do come through that 16K mark how things play out over the top of the KOM.
Kristen Arnold out here with the Butcher Box team. That was Whitney Allison when we were talking about that squad. Just wanted to confirm that. Catherine Curie out of Northern California, also team director. Good to see her back out and racing. Catherine was I mentioned a teammate of Amy's back in 2008 on that Webcore squad, but is also a rider that's been on the overall podium at the Tour of the Gila. She's had some legitimate results herself there. A journey woman in the sport. Catherine has given back so much, and she's been directing that Amy D team. And Nathan, it really is the golden ticket for a rider like Maddie Ward, who is interested in possibly, looking into going further with her professional cycling career. You get the velvet glove treatment, the white glove treatment, I guess you'd say, with this team, where you get a director like Catherine Curie and help with the materials that you need. And certainly you get to collaborate with other great riders like Aisha McGowan on this squad. So we're watching Amy D Foundation here as they're rolling. A good ride. I think you're seeing Catherine, who does have experience. Maddie Ward, one of the stronger riders I mentioned. Again, she's had top 10s overall at the Colorado Classic. And Nathan, this team, again, they're just about to hit 15K. It's going to be a little over 30 minutes out here for most of our squads. Still waiting. I'm going to guess the next time we refresh over there with our splits that we're going to see that let me see. I thought maybe I was going to get there it is. 5:44 the time for Tibco. 5:46 Infinite. So I think they're maybe keeping a little in reserve, Nathan. I thought they might have been a little quicker than that, although 5:44.
We can take a quick look here through with
going to be our fastest
4K split. Yeah, here's the 4K splits that we just changed the board up to. And it does look like Team Tibco with the 5:44. Their Team Infinite, actually, presented by Saris. This team has been rocking the community races, and they're right there with the 5:46. So a 2-second split between them. Femi Equip is actually behind on that 4K. We'll have to see how things play out, though. Some of these teams, TTT, it's about how do you manage your effort. And if they go out a little bit too hot, you could start seeing some struggling, like we are seeing W. Allison here now trying to hold back almost a little bit as she's starting to drop some of her Butcher Box racing. They're in the Gamba kit, the red and white here. It does look like Kay Arnold not able to hold on, and they can't. Can they let Rathburn go? I'm not sure. They started with 4. So they may be able to shed one as if there's no longer anything to bring to the table.
I'm surprised. I think that they're going to wait for Laurel Rathbun out of Monument, Colorado. See, the problem here is Whitney Allison is this good. I mentioned, lives in Fort Collins. She's racing up at altitude right now. Thing about Whitney Allison is she was second at stage 1 of the Colorado Classic, biggest race for women in the United States last year, I would say, outside of Tour of the Gila, Redlands. It's right in that conversation. A little bit different, sort of apples and oranges. But Whitney is really she and her husband Zach Allison, much like Matt and Lauren Stevens, these two are next level. I mean, they're Colorado's power couple without any doubt. Whitney needs to just stall the beans a little bit right now because unfortunately, it's so easy to do, Nathan, right? Blow up your team here because this was that sector, the 3% grade. This is about the steepest point. So Whitney lives in Fort Collins. She climbs up Wrist Canyon like a banshee. So she's extremely good at this. Some of the other ladies may be struggling a little bit. This is the challenge. There's a lot to the psychology of a team time trial ride. I mean, and now it's like, well, you don't want to completely stop. Whitney's doing everything she can right now. This is unfortunate to watch, but I do understand.
Quick little drop out there. Whitney needs to get back on it, though. It looks like as her team goes by, her team's going to hold up a little bit of a mechanical situation. They're going to get back together because of it. Maybe it'll even help things out. But Whitney now having to really push on in order to close that down. Looks like it's going to be happening. They'll get organized again as they
Are
come
they waiting for Laurel Rathbun?
I believe
she's waiting for Laurel.
Maybe that's what she's doing. There.
Yeah,
it went right to
she's
0
waiting for
watts per
Laurel
kilogram real quickly, though. We'll have to wait and see.
No, that was honestly, Nathan, I'm going to guess that she just realized, shoot, this was not what I wanted to do. I'm going to sit up, go get Laurel, and help bring Laurel back because I think
you're
this
right,
is where we
they
go
have
to our
really backed
commissioner.
off. It is 2.6.
Yep.
It is. Yep, I think
well,
you're
the
right.
time. I'm going to go to our commissioner, Nathan. We might be able to access an answer on whether the time is taken off the fourth rider's front wheel like we do in the WTRL, which is my favorite day of racing every week, along with USA Cycling's Wednesdays. We just have a great week of racing, but this is right now not their finest moment. But I'm not going to pile on. This isn't criticism. This was kind of the point on the course where we knew this was going to happen for some of the squads. So Butcher Box Cycling is going to figure this out. These ladies might as well, we use that jokingly, there's so many Irish riders out on our WTRL ride, stall the beans, meaning you're heating them up too much right now. Bring that down to a simmer because now we're seeing another team rolling through. Nathan, I'm guessing time is taken off of fourth rider's wheel. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think you are correct actually about that. So we'll have to wait.
While
and see
we're
how
looking that up,
we're gonna wait on. I'm gonna wait on the WTRL boys here to let us know.
This is a monster squad.
The background data for us, but now we have Femi Equip, and they are flying at this point.
Yeah,
and Charlotte Backus now over the top. That was the top of the KOM, 15.3 kilometers in. I'm just gonna jump ahead though here. I want to catch the finish for a lot of the teams here. And the Mexican team here, I'll go look now, BMC killing it on the front still, 28-26. So it's going to be, like you said, a little bit over 30 minutes on the day, 23 kilometers in total. And if we take a quick look again at the splits, we'll try and get a full screen here if anybody was having any trouble at all. And as we do look at them, we are going to let's go ahead and take a quick look at the 4K. And here are the 4K splits.
So I can explain, Nathan. There was a little bit of a glitch with USA National. That's why you're not seeing us time coming in from them. So we're going to look into that, figure out what's happening with them. They had a little bit of an issue at the start. Now I can confirm time is taken off of fourth rider's front wheel. That would explain what Whitney Allison was doing and what was going on back with the Butcher Box squad. They were doing some damage control. And let's take a look. Team Infinite is having one heck of a ride out here today. They are on the gas. Infinite presented by Saris 1346. Their only team down there in the 13s, Nathan. Then you got two squads, Femi Keep. I'm really surprised at Femi Keep, the way that they're racing is not leading right now. That's the first split that we're getting in, but we still have some to wait for. Riders, again, the team starting at 2-minute intervals, so they are left, right, and center all over our sand and sequoias world. This is my favorite place to ride out on Watopia. This is the original world of Zwift. So we're looking at, again, we're going to be seeing 2020. We're going to be seeing, I don't know, Nathan. I wouldn't count on getting U.S. national team splits just because the soup is not quite right with that that one. So
Yeah, for now, we'll have to wait.
for now, right?
We'll have to wait until they do. There may be a new time coming in for them afterwards. We'll have to wait and see how it gets played out. But at the 10K split is what we're currently looking at on here. 1346, 1346 tied, dead even. Team Tipco. The team we're about to see come in though, Agolico BMC, they pulled in a 2446, and we're going to be watching them come in for their official time on the day here in just a moment. So this is still 6.1 watts per kilogram. They come through the sprint section in just a moment here. So as far as the finishing up, it is the 23 kilometers in total. They just got about 2K or so to go. And as they do so, they will see a little sprint banner on the right-hand side. There'll be a little marker, a green marker, that says the sprint section essentially is starting. That's a leaderboard that you can go after in Zwift. That will mark about 800 meters or so to go, maybe a little less than that. And then as they do go underneath, there's no actual finish banner on this course. There's a line across the road, and then there's a overpass that they go under. And when they go under that, that'll be the official finish for them out here today. Now it's time to ramp it up, though, and you're going to start seeing those that have a little bit extra energy pushing into that 5-6 watts per kilogram, giving everything they can for their team while they just hang on.
Nathan, the virtual 34th of the Gila is pretty similar to the actual Tour of the Gila. We would not at all be above putting a line across the road for the finish of the team time trial because this is grassroots racing for the people. What they've done over 34 editions down there in Silver City it's amazing. There have been some years that Lance Armstrong himself, I know that big documentary is coming out this weekend. Well, Lance came down and raced this event a couple of years back in 2009 and 10. I mean, the whole squad was down there. Everybody who's been somebody in professional cycling in America has made their way through Silver City. Gaxiola is the rider here. They're pushing now, pressing on, ladies. I love this effort. Viva Mexico is right. The crowd would be going nuts for this squad, Nathan, waiting at the finish line. They're about 1K to go. Time off of the fourth rider's wheel, so they got one rider to burn here if they want to put a booster rocket up on the front. One thing I have learned over weeks of racing at the WTRL is this is a science to team time trialing. This squad has really figured out. There's your finish line, done and dusted. We'll put our first time up.
Sprint banner.
Oh, sprint banner. I'm sorry, Nathan.
The sprint banner's starting up there. Yep,
Starting.
they got a couple meters to go here yet. Still a couple of hundred. They're going to be leading out through this section. No problem. This is really where they can ramp it up, though. On their screen, they'll actually see a little notifications now that this is the last few hundred meters at this point. And so Gaxiola now coming on through 6.8 watts per kilogram, up and out of the saddle. You see the avatars as they jump out of the saddle there. The game actually knows, based on the metrics you're putting in, whether or not you're lowering your cadence, upping your watts, and you can see Pareto here up and out of the saddle giving one last kick across the line. They're coming through with a 33.10, it looks like, as we jump back to the AMD Foundation, who have pulled in almost a minute and a half, actually. Pamela Vine now leading things out here. Curie there, 6.8 watts per kilogram, trying to pull off every last second as they can. We saw early on in these splits that it was coming down just to 1 or 2 seconds. These women are all so close in their talent here, and every last ounce of effort is going to matter.
Yeah, what a coordinated effort we are witnessing. Amy D Foundation came to play, no question. So, Nathan, we'll be looking at that leaderboard here. Oh, I do see sometimes it looks okay. Go ahead. Don't worry about that USA Cycling, but we're going to be watching closely here. This Infinite team, they've got Caroline Murray, Christy Tracy, Claire Cameron, Jen Reel. This is quite a squad. Megan Rathwell and Anna Russell. So, Nathan, that's quite a team. That explains when you hear that quality list of riders. There's a lot of horsepower there, why they're putting up such fast splits out here and keep in there with a 23:31. We're looking at that 16-kilometer checkpoint. They go all the way to 23K for the finish. Now we're up with Tibco. So 5 riders. Clevenger, who another one of the big stars of the Colorado Classic, she just graduated from the School of Mines in Golden, Colorado. A real talent, no doubt about it. New to the Tibco team this year. She just transferred over. This is the team of Lauren Stevens. Let's take a look at what we've got here. So they've got Malseed, the Australian national champion. And then I see 2020 right behind them. That's going to be quite a battle here. And throw in the Infinite presented by Sarah's team. But Nathan, thank you for picking up on Tibco. We'll watch these ladies. They should be putting on a clinic out here as we watch the team rolling on, looking really good. aren't they? As they're going through what was blowing up some teams, this challenging sector, they are absolutely railing it right now. That's the Sarah Gigante, world champion, Nathan. She's won the rainbow already.
Look
in
at
her
her setup
career.
in game
This rider
too.
out of
She's
Australia.
not messing around. I love that she's got the TT helmet on. Look at the
She's
glasses.
19.
She is showing up with style. I am loving it. On the Cannondale here. I mean, look at this setup. Very well played here by Gigante. I'm
Good.
loving
You would
the
know, Nathan.
finesse. There's some finesse here for sure from this avatar and this rider right now.
Pound for pound, ounce for ounce, that rider out of Australia could be the most talented in the world, possibly the next Mariana Vos that we're looking at. That's Gigante that Nathan is locked in with here. I love Nathan. It is so cool to watch a young person that is willing to embrace a sport that's as brutal as professional road cycling. Sarah Gigante is absolutely one of the talents to watch. Man, this team is flying. I mean, they're hitting 35 kilometers per hour right now as they're going up a 3% grade. This team is dimming the power grid right now in the southern hemisphere. TIBCO has always had more than Americans and Canadians. This team has had a very strong representation from down under, not just Australia, but New Zealand as well. Okay, I mean, Nathan, I said on paper this is the team to beat today, and they're not letting me down, are they?
Now let's just jump over to they are setting some screaming times as we do look at their splits coming on in. It does look like a 13:46. Still
they got it
tied
back. Good job,
neck
Butchers.
and neck there with Team Infinite actually. So still right on that time. 22:48 though for Infinite Saris there. So we'll have to see how that ends up coming through as TIBCO is chasing them down. 2020 right behind them in the first splits. We'll see if they keep on with that. Now we're looking at Butcher Box here though, and for the splits coming on through, let's go ahead and start bringing them in on the 16K. Rather than on the 10K here real quick. And as we look at the 16K, Team Infinite, Femme Equip, then we're looking at Revo, it looks like, followed up by Amy D, Orion, Oglico, and it's Butcher Box at 25:43. We'll have to wait and see how they bring the time back here. I think they're going to be just a little bit outside of the top, maybe hold on to the top 7 here as they do come across the line here in just a moment.
I love it. What Whitney Allison did took a lot of courage there. Sometimes you have to recognize when you've missed a step, right, Nathan? And she was able to go back. I think that she got Lauren Stevens. I see Olivia Ray is here. But what they do have is a wheel that they can take a time off of in this group. Now you can start working and rolling again. You don't want to let the adrenaline get going too much. Now, there's Kristen Arnold. So this is the Butcher Box team. Again, we started the show talking about how this is one of the new teams in women racing. And again, ease up, ladies, ease up. If you're the director back in the car, this is what you don't want to do is keep yo-yoing riders off the back of that group. You just want to keep a nice rotation. Now, the riders who aren't feeling it, who aren't
400 meters now at this point. 400 meters, not even. 200 meters to go. So they can ramp it up a little bit. But you
got to keep that fourth rider with you, or else the time doesn't matter. You can have 3 riders flying now, but the fourth rider, and again, you can see this gap opens up. So it's so hard. It really is. There's your time, though. Butcher Box done and done. So they're going to be happy to get that one. They did some damage control out there, Nathan. I would say a good job there of not letting it get worse, not let a grass fire turn into a structure fire. So we are watching now. Some more teams finishing. Everybody should have already taken their start, waiting for that 2020 time. The team that's really riding out of their skin is Infinite, presented by Saris out here. This is the ride that stands out. Family keep having a good ride today. They'll certainly keep themselves in contention here. Oh, this is fun, isn't it, Nathan? Getting to do a team time trial out here to start this 34th edition of the Virtual Tour of the Gila. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We've got a lot of racing ahead of us. The men are going to be out on course here in a little while tonight. We've got 2 more stages this weekend. We love it here on Zwift Community Live, having these kind of events. And thanks to everybody like Eric Hill, who works so hard to make this happen. Nathan, the squad now just about little less than 3K to go.
Yeah, and we do see it looks like ICF here now. Rosada now trying to make her way to the line with her team at this point. Really giving it a good effort, and it does look like at a 31:30. They are being caught, though, by a team chasing them down here out on course. I believe that's going to be the U.S. national team. They're going to get out there and get their time in, at least, it looks like. And then I think things are going to be... Oh, no, it's Orion Racing. Excuse me. No, that's Orion Racing, actually, right behind... Orion Racing, actually, right behind them. and they have made up huge amounts of time with a 29:47. That
Holy
is
cow.
a team coming out of Minnesota. Huge result here for them. 24:40 here now currently, trying to chase down the Amy D Foundation on that results list. We'll start bringing in the results list in just a moment as it does get populated, but they've brought back a full-on 2 minutes almost on this
Good.
ICF team.
Yeah, well, I see why you thought that was U.S. National, almost exactly the same jersey. Now, Nathan, good news for our USA National team fans. They are populating in the splits. They will get a time. Everything's going to be okay there. Actually, they had a nice run. They're the third team to hit that 6:08 at the first checkpoint. So everything is copacetic, folks. This is going to be the Impeto Ciclismo team that we're watching here, and they're pretty close now. They're not well. Actually, you're looking at two teams that are kind of cross-pollinating right now, and that was pretty well done, I have to say,
Well
ladies.
done by,
Sometimes you see
well
them.
done there by Owen Racing. Yeah,
Nice
they did a
clean
great
pass.
job, right on by through, and no drafting off each other. And now the burden though is going to be on Orion at this point to keep the pace high at the front to hold them off, because if ICF wants to push it here at this point, well, you wanted to take the lead, Orion, better kick it moving.
There have been many passes on bike paths that have not gone well, right? You make the pass, but then you have to give up the spot. And these poor women, they have to endure this from guys out there all the time who can't get over that a woman just passed them on their bike. So they have this muscle dude go flying by, and it's just quite a scene out there. I'm sure everyone's used to that. Orion Racing, though, they got the gap now. Again, they were making the watts. They made a nice clean pass. The WTRL always asks, Nathan, that the team that's being passed, that you back off for a moment. And I think that's fair. I really do. It's sort of like on cross-country skiing. I'm sure in Wisconsin you see that, where if you're the skier that's about to pass someone, they give up track, right? Isn't that the way you should do it?
Yeah, the overtaking rider has
obviously the
mountain bike world, 100%.
Not so.
That's how it goes.
Right.
Like if you're overtaking and you're going to make a pass, and blocking, like there's a lot of, so we've had some pretty intense discussions actually in the mountain bike, like in the mountain bike world, about whether or not you ought to be able to block single track, and whether or not, well, I hold the course. So overtaking rider, if you get the line,
certainly different than if you're a lapped rider, right?
Yeah, especially if it's a lapped rider. So
then you absolutely
you
give
have
up
to
track.
give. Then you have that's what
ridiculous.
That's what I was aiming at there. That's what I was aiming at there.
It's really insane if you think you're a lap down and you're going to hold off a guy to keep your lap. So, but you never know. So this is Orion Racing that we're looking at now. But Nathan, I am 100% with you on the spirit of racing is always important out here, isn't it? I mean, you know what the right thing is to do. That's for sure. So watching the Revo team, Velocity Vixens as well. We looking at them, they did a nice job out here today, keeping themselves right in the mix. Actually, if you look at their split time from going back to the second split, they're more than holding their own. This is the Revo squad that we're watching now.
Yeah, Revo doing an amazing job actually. I'm seeing here. Revo squad are
numbers.
These are the experienced. These are the very experienced in Zwift teams. As the men's race is just popping up in the lower left hand corner, we'll start populating over the top here as that comes in. Just so you guys know, this will start showing us the start time, 29 minutes to the start of the men's race. Just so you guys know, crossing line though, Revo will be getting their times up in just a moment as we're starting to get to the back end of this team time trial for the women. Christy Tracy, Team Infinite Saris now pushing her way forward as they start the sprint section. They're just coming into their last 800 meters or so. Solid time, almost a sub 30. Going to be just outside of it here. And how many teams did we get with a sub 30? Were there many here? I'm going to have to start taking a look. And most of them, it looks like well over 31:59 so far from Amy D. The BMC team as well with the 30:34. I'm seeing ICF there. And Impeto Ciclismo Femenino, 35:25. So we'll see. I think the faster teams, though, are on the back end here. And I think Infinite Saris had one of the fastest on the splits. And we're about to see them come across the line.
Yeah, the Infinite Saris team has been riding out of their minds out here. Is it going to be enough? Let's see. I love it. Okay, here we go. Let's go back to Tibco. This is one of the teams. Boy, they just look fast. 48, 49. 109 kilometers per hour, the current speed that this team is holding. Nathan, this team has been absolutely on point here as they made that big pivot coming into COVID-19. They didn't really have a whole lot going on with, I know Lauren Stevens Zwifted, but not as much as she has been. And she has really, over the last 2 months, become the rider to beat out on this platform, along with her really strong team. They've been very well drilled in communicating. So Silicon Valley, first look here at one of the most popular teams in the world, the 2020 squad. Now, Shayna Paulus was with us over at the Zwift Draft House representing America. She and her brother out of the Northern California, the Sacramento area, have been cornerstones of the USA cycling community. Amanda Coker as well. So this 2020 team, Nikki has done a tremendous job, and this goes all the way back to first edition of this team was called 2012. Corinne Rivera and company on that squad. So this is the team of Chloe Dygert, who is one of the Americans that has the most potential to bring home hardware from Tokyo 2021. I love Jen Lubke. Jen out of Bend, Oregon, a talented, well, originally from Montana, but a super talented triathlete that then is now, over the last 4 or 5 years, become one of the top-ranked Americans. Leah Davison is out. So Leah Davison, we were talking about the Amy D Foundation. She's from the exact same town in Vermont, Jericho, Vermont. It's like 2,500 people. And 3 different world-class cyclists, or actually, yeah, I guess 3 is fair. There's even more than that. But 3 different world-class cyclists, including Jamie Driscoll, the dude who now who's been on the podium at Cyclocross National Championships. But Leah Davison is a multi-time American Olympian. She's been one of our top World Cup she's a name you know well, Nathan, from all your mountain bike exploits. And she's out here with the 2020 team.
Was just going to take a quick look there, but we're jumping around just a little bit as teams are finishing up. We're running out of avatars actually to keep on site there. So yeah, no,
is that
like
a good problem to have?
Essentially what happened was the Zwift was trying to figure out where people were, and as we were clicking on them, and as they were coming across, they began to disappear as they were coming across so incredibly fast. I think we can jump back in with 2020 though real quickly here. I do have their feed almost back up, and as soon as we do, we'll be watching their finish. We do have Simone Boillard here now as in one of our feeds. Apologies on the feed there for just a moment, guys. But here is Simone leading things out. For a moment, it looked like 4.6 watts per kilometer, but it's Amanda Coker now toward the front. Leah Davison, as you did say, top world level mountain biker, obviously. I believe former U.S. national champion as well on the mountain bike here. Yeah. It looks like Durian's here as well. So lots of firepower in here. I'll be watching out for their splits as they start to come in. We are starting to get results. We'll take a look at that after they do cross the line in just a moment.
Yeah, it would be hard to imagine a world where 2020 wasn't in the top 3 and will always be fighting for that top step. It's Nikki Cranmer who's been putting her heart and soul into this team, and she's got quite a group. Jasmine During, the rider we're looking at now, a nice mix of Americans, Canadians, and Mexicans make up this squad. They've had riders like the Irish national champion rode for this team at one point, good old Olivia. But as we look at the squad now, they've got some motivation, don't they? They're right now throttle all the way open. Boillard, the Canadian rider, was one of the top Canadian juniors for a couple of years there. She did a tremendous job representing her country, and I would expect that as she makes her way into the elite ranks, she'll spend some time at the Olympic Games as well. It's always one of the big targets, obviously, for a lot of the women that we've got out here racing, Nathan. I wish that they'd bring back, well, I guess the closest thing to this discipline is something that 2020 knows a lot about, on the velodrome, as I think that was the finish that we just saw there. So we might have a time for 2020, right?
As the U.S. team is out here. The time at the top for the U.S. team will not be correct, and it's going to do it to me again here for just a moment, guys.
Okay, I understand,
Bear with
Nathan.
me. Bear with me, guys. It's going to try and jump back to 2020. It's it's overriding Nathan's desires at this point, but we'll get back to the U.S. team as best as we possibly can. As I believe I have Aaron Huck here now, as we're looking at Dobel Hickok as well as Pruitt here on the front. And these are some names you'll definitely be familiar with in the world of the USA on the women's side of things. Pruitt now 6.4 watts per kilogram. Now, the time at the top will be a little off because the USA Cycling their U.S. national team, they had a little bit of a mix-up on their start time, it looked like, and so they went out the gun just a little early, and so there's going to be some subtractions, I believe, from their time in the results, and we'll get those up as soon as possible to take a look at things. But we can start taking a look at the results as they finish up on the day here. This is going to be, I believe, one of the last teams across. Velocity Vixen is still out on course, though, so they're still out. They're still hammering away, it looks like.
Aaron Huck has been a U.S. national champion as well on the mountain bike, a massive talent, very comparable to Leah Davison as you look at almost like the old Redlands days where mountain bikers jumping in with the road racers. But this is the team with Krista Doble-Hickok as well. She'll be wearing that ASOS Stars and Stripes jersey or national team jersey, I am sure. She's been a national hill climb champion as well. And racing out of Costa Mesa, California. Krista, much like Lauren Stevens, has found tremendous success racing in this platform. Definitely, she raced for the Rally team. That's her trade team. She's obviously here with the U.S. national squad being led by Mari Holden. But this is a very competitive team. Once they got everything sorted out, again, to give you and Martin and the whole crew credit, this is a very challenging discipline to race. It's also really tricky. These guys have figured out all kinds of hacks on the way to be able to bring you these broadcasts. And I'm really lucky that I have colleagues that are so smart and able to make things happen like this, Nathan, as you guys have completely reinvented the way things are covered out here and do a tremendous job with this. So we're watching right now Kathy Pruitt with the U.S. national team here. As I said, they'll have their jerseys at some point. Zwift has just been so overrun with requests and people jumping into the platform because of COVID-19 that eventually everybody will get their jerseys. And that's part of the right? Anticipation is a lot of the part of life that makes it so much fun. If you got everything you wanted immediately, it'd be weird. You need to wait, want, and
a little
be appreciative.
Gratification. Dave's giving us lessons on delayed gratification right now. So Doble-Hickok here now at 7.5 on the front, 182 beats per minute. This is the last push here coming from the U.S. National team now as Pruitt tries to hang on. It looks like they're going to give a little bit of a gap as now it's going to be Hunter as well as Huck jumping back on terms, and it'll be the last one across the line given the time it looks like. It does look like a few had dropped off here. 2020 looking to get across the line still. They didn't need everybody, though, with them. Velocity Vixen, now we can see, though, 4.1 watts per kilogram currently coming in for them at a 30.22 so far for this final team. I believe this is going to be the final team for the women in the start list as they make their way with just a little over 30 minutes. It looks like probably about a 32-minute, maybe 32 and a half, I think they're going to come in at with a little over K to go.
All right, so we're close to done and dusted. The men, Nathan, will be just about wrapping up. Well, depending on your start order here, we have almost double the number of men's teams as we do for the women here, so it'll be quite a process. They're going to be starting at a 1-minute interval versus the 2 minutes between teams that we had for the women out here as Desrochers of the Velocity Vixens. This is not quite entirely Canadian squad, but a heavy Canadian influence. If you're wondering why it smells like maple syrup.
Dixie Newsom out there with them as well. Beyond Watch, always a very strong rider in the world is with McGregor there coming out of New Zealand. So still somewhat of an international field and very much a Zwift team. Very much a team that came through the Zwift world with the Velocity Vixens.
Like Infinite Ceres, Nathan, right? Wouldn't you say
exactly.
We've got some team, right? And then we have the teams that do both.
That have jumped in. Yeah, which is like 2020. They got their Thursday morning group ride and they've been very involved in the Pro-Ams as well. So obviously.
Yeah, they were early adopters. For sure, when you talk about 2020, they really embraced it right from the get-go. Tibco, new to the game, and they are right now crushing things. So we're going to be able to look at some results in a moment here. Nathan, that was fun. Looks like we're just about dusted here with our stage 1 team time trial for the women. Men still to come, so don't go anywhere out there. I have a feeling we're going to see record number of viewers from the questions that I'm looking at here online. Thanks, everybody. It's been really fun having you jump in. Right now, they are crunching the data. We'll be looking to see who our first ever so the leader's jersey, Nathan, at the Tour of the Gila is red. It is a beautiful, so they really do it right in New Mexico with their license plates, and they use a lot of the native culture really shines through at the Tour of the Gila. So right now, people would be heading down to the Tour of the Gila's headquarters, which is Gila Hike and Bike, and looking for our friend Martin to be posting the results in the window. It's old school down
Yeah,
there.
we
Then
do have
literally,
some of the results coming in here now. I'm going to jump on over and
your virtual
see if
tour
we
of the
can bring
Gila,
them
though,
on in. And
get some Scotch tape out.
well,
There
we're
they
heading
are.
down to the dinosaurs for now. We're heading down to the dinosaurs. This is going to be the section for the virtual as we head to the watering hole. I mean, I guess it's kind of similar, heading down to the watering hole here. Team Timko, what a result there coming in from them. 30-34 for the Vienna's, the women's side of things for the Virtual Tour of Gila 2020 Stage 1, TTT. And a solid 30 plus almost 30 seconds, 28 seconds. Team Infinite presented by Stars. They were neck and neck though early on, and obviously Timko just having that teamwork as well. And they've been riding so much. They were doing obviously the Volley series with us on Tuesday nights. I think they got very familiar with the world of Zwift and able to take on a Zwift team that's been very strong recently. 2020, obviously, right there behind them, 31-19, Amy D Foundation, followed up by Velocity Vixen, Revo Racing, then help me again. Now, you corrected me before, and I absolutely love it when you do this for me. Algolico is how I would say it, BMC 33-34.
Perfect, Nathan. Agolico BMC, which is obviously the bike brand. Nathan, I just heard over comms, it's sort of like when the race commissars make their way back. Sounds like ButcherBox only finished 3, which is going to be an issue. So we'll see what happens there. Again,
see what happens
nothing
there.
official.
Nothing
but yeah,
official.
We'll keep an eye on that.
Preliminary on ButcherBox. Preliminary on ButcherBox.
They're working on it now.
Maybe they'll get a single pass. We had some conversations about if things go.
Yeah.
We had some conversations in the team meeting if things go already and people are not necessarily really used to how to race on Zwift and things, that perhaps a few things will be let slide here and there. So we'll have to wait and see what the officials have to say.
In the spirit of fairness or in the spirit of sport, there's different ways that you can look at things. Now, this wouldn't be so much spirit of fairness, but it would be a sporting decision. And I think you would also look at the other athletes, right, Nathan? Well, we have a moment here. The men are still in the start house. It gives you a moment to think about what is really important. Were they cheating? Did they try to pull one over on us? No, they didn't. What happened was they unfortunately ended up with finishing 3 riders. So all day long, I say, we ask Timko, we go to 2020, Team Infinite, we say, do you have any problem with this? These ladies want to race. We want them to race. We want them to have the experience. And I almost guarantee you, I can't speak for them, Nathan, almost guarantee you to a woman, they would say, let them race. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, and we'll let you know what happens with that. It's always good when commentators actually follow through with things for once.
Like I follow through with the results. Orion Racing 33-56, followed up by Impetu Ciclismo Femenino ICF there with the solid 35-26. That's your top 9. That's your top 9 for the
good job,
current
Nathan.
situation. I appreciate that. Now
I'm not surprised.
We do have the men's race coming up here. They will be starting at 8 o'clock CST, Central Standard Time.
Are we going to take a break and reset, or are we going to just roll through?
We will be taking a break. We will be taking a break. It'll be a 10-minute break in between here. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I was just going to say, so traditionally then, Nathan, what would happen now is you'd look at the team, and we have these beautiful, I mentioned that red leaders jersey, who on Timko would be wearing it? It doesn't really matter at the end of the day because
first one across the line. I don't know. What do you think?
Yes, absolutely. It would be the first rider over the line. So Martin will be able to figure that out, and we'll see. So it's interesting who that will be. But our first ever virtual leader, I'll try to tweet that out later if we don't get. Oh no, Martin will be able to get that during the show, and we'll let you know who will move into that red jersey. A historic day. Thanks to Jack Brennan. Thanks to Eric Hill, Project Echelon. Tremendous job, Nathan. They're really, really just changing the game out here in so many different ways. So thanks to not just Eric, but the good folks at Project Echelon, and then all our friends at Silver City. Keep your head up. You're one of my favorite places in the world. And we're going to be back with the men's racing. But Nathan, again, this was really cool. The WTRL is a team time trial event that you can do yourself. Come join us on Thursdays because it's been a blast.
Yeah, I am taking a look at the chat coming on through here. Just so everybody knows, we are able to see the YouTube chat, the Facebook chat, Twitch chat as well. We can bring in your tweets as well if you want to tweet some media at us. If you're in front of the riders, actually, if you're with the riders and you're watching the riders at this point, if you tweet at us any kind of pictures, we can bring those on in as well. So go ahead and do so, and we'll go ahead and keep on bringing in your. We'll keep on we'll keep on bringing in your chat as it just come on in. We do have the men's race. We'll be back in 10 minutes. 10 minutes for the men's race. We'll also go through maybe a couple more of the results for the women's side of things as they do come in. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Men's TTT Tour of Gila here, stage 1, coming at you in just a few. And as we do wait for them to start, we'll be back out on the same course. So me and Dave coming right on back. We'll see you guys in 10 minutes. Big thank you to Project Echelon for what they have done to put this together. The race organizers out there today, as well as one of the teams we're going to be watching out here, Dave, taking on the men's race. We're out on Sand Sequoias again for one lap. We've got a lot of teams going off in 1 minute intervals. Again, if you're just joining in, I'm Nathan Guerra. I've got next to me Dave Toll. Nathan Guerra here at Zwift Community Live. Dave Cole hanging out over in Colorado, joining me virtually. And Dave, what an amazing women's race we just watched, and we're about to watch. I believe it's like, what do we got? I think there's like 30. So let me take a look here. I mean, I look at the start list, and we've got 13, and then another whole list here, all the way 25 teams. 25 men's teams. Absolutely amazing. They're going to be flying out here, and I think we're going to have quite a close race, actually, because they're going to be putting every ounce they can for this stage race. Dave, your microphone. Dave walks away. I'm going to totally let you guys know. Dave walks away from him and needs to mute his microphone because it echoes in his room, and you would hear all the things he's doing. You don't want to hear all the things he's doing. So
making ramen, right? Yeah. No, what are you going to do at the 10-minute break? Just enough time to make a bowl of ramen, right? So actually, Nathan, social media is blowing up right now. Thank you so much, everyone, for the great comments. We had a really good time. Our team from WTRL, I appreciate their help. Nathan, that was an absolute blast. I am hearing they had a good laugh over at USA Cycling. Everything sorted. It's a bonding moment. Yeah. So the team, you live and you learn out here, but I heard from Mari Holden that everybody's cool, and they're going to be going for it out there tomorrow for stage 2. Tibco delivers. What a ride. I also want to note that the Amy D Foundation certainly pulled up. There's a rider out there that we're going to hear more from. The American Kristen Faulkner did a lot of work riding on the front of that. So big effort from her. First year pro, Nathan, from Homer, Alaska.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Yeah. I recognize the name for sure. I definitely recognize the name, obviously, but I didn't know that information. That's pretty cool.
It really is. So that Tibco team's going to be our new leader. We're going to find out who that is. But Nathan, let's turn our attention to the men. And the guys are going to be champing at the bit. Same course. Everything will remain the same. The conditions, that's one of the beautiful things where they're racing on Watopia. This is the original Zwift world. Nathan, we have more new viewers than we have ever had tonight, I would say. So many of our friends who are just regular Tour of the Gila folks that are now jumping in and seeing e-racing for the first time. Well, this world they're racing on doesn't actually exist on the planet. A lot of the Zwift worlds do. You can go to London or Innsbruck or a lot of the world's courses, Richmond, Virginia. But this is Watopia. This is sand and sequoias. You can go to zwiftpower.com if you wanted a lot more data. But we can give you, Nathan is really good at describing this course. We just watched the women race, and it's a little under 23K when you're done and dusted. Some of America's best teams have, actually, I should say some of North America's best teams have lined up here. Nathan, 25 teams racing. I heard there were something close to 50 teams that wanted to be a part of this field. So file that under a good problem to have, this Above and Beyond Cancer Center. So they were started alphabetically. We figured that was the fairest way to do it. So we'll start with Above and Beyond, and we'll end up with Wildlife Generation, one of America's top teams, run by Danny Van Out. He's an American Olympian. So riders will be warming up. We're ready to go. We're locked and loaded. This is not a drill. It's the Virtual Tour of the Gila. Nathan, thanks again for all your hard work. These team time trials are crazy hard to cover. You are the master of this, along with our WTRL team. And if you really enjoy this, come join us on Thursdays. It has been a blast. So good luck, riders. I hope you have the day you came here for.
Yeah, we are seeing Above and Beyond Cancer just getting organized here from the gun, as you can see, as a couple of them split up a little bit. And you do have to kind of figure out, okay, everybody going. We need to get on wheels here. And now bump it up to 8.1 watts per kilogram. Here we go. So let's go ahead and see who we're watching out on course here. And it does look like it's going to be, we're watching B. B.B. So
okay, again, I'll coach you again.
A long name. Long name,
so
it looks like. So fitting that in here. Go ahead, help us out here, Dave.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, I had some comments from friends who do real life announcing, like Bruce Hildenbrand. Hello, Bruce. We got to work on this a little bit, but B, we'll figure out who you are, but we can get the abbreviations tight and get your names out there, and it helps everybody. So they're organizing pretty quickly. Good job here, gentlemen. Time will be taken off of the fourth rider's front wheel. This is standard. Now, some of the teams will have more than 6 riders. That's fine, but the time is coming for now. Again, if you come out of this group, now that split is not ideal. This is not our finest moment, guys, because what we're going to need to do is slow our rider off the front here is going to need to slow it down, but back off, feather this stuff, but get the team together, get organized first. Until we do that, we can't go anywhere. You have to use the building blocks. And that one rider that's off the front right now might think he's having a great race, but this is not an individual time trial. We won't be taking any kind of, right now he's burning a match that is completely wasted. So the goal here, again, is those watts could be back with this group. And Nathan, it's okay if I coach a little bit right now, right?
Of course.
We do so much of this time trialing every Thursday that you really learn that, unfortunately, I don't know if this rider didn't get the memo or what's going on, but hopefully they'll be able to communicate. A lot of these teams, Nathan, I'll throw it back to you, would use Discord, the experience. So we're going to find out who's been doing their Zwifting, who's done their homework. I guess that's fair to say, isn't it?
Yeah, that's for sure. And, there is the reality of Discord. Most online games, for those of you in the game that know the gaming community, they've been using things like either TeamSpeak, Discord, or Ventrilo for many, many years. We're going back into the early 2000s in order to communicate, because when you're trying to play a game online, voice communication is the quickest way that you can do so. And so these servers have been in existence for a very long time. Now they're becoming much more of a mass population as gaming is becoming a part of the mass population. I think the percentages, I don't have something off the top of my head, but they've been skyrocketing as far as who actually plays video games. And now we're seeing that people who are playing their own sports are now playing sports in the world of gaming. And so Discord is a service that most people use nowadays. Discord.gg is an app you can download. Direct voice communication. You can set up your own servers. We were jumping into Team Tibco actually on Tuesday nights. They had their own Discord server that they had set up. Their team communicates. Whenever they jump into a team ride that they do, a training ride that they're doing together, they're using Discord. They're communicating. Who's taking the poll? All right, what are we doing for our intervals? Who's leading the group ride tonight? So same kind of thing. The communication here will be key. And as you can see, Gardner on the front, this team from CS Velo, they look very well organized actually. 6.1, taking his poll. Rivero, Gleason, look at where they're sitting at their watts per kilogram right now. Now the poll's going to come through from Gleason. The rest of the pack here hovering a little lower there, 4 watts per kilogram or so, as at 6+ on the front. They seem to have done their homework a little bit on the TTT.
Yeah. Sean Gardner is absolutely a huge talent. Nathan, this is your sleeper squad. No doubt. I'm glad you picked up CS Velo here. So teams starting at 1-minute intervals. We're going to have splits coming to you from 4K, 10K, 16K. We'll try to update that as much as we can. Nathan, I want to hit the pause button for just a moment. I have over the wire heard some good news. Eric Hill, the commissioner out here, he's our virtual race director. Jack Brennan is our in real life race director there in Silver City. He made a call. They're going to allow the riders from USA Cycling and ButcherBox. They're going to be continuing. They will be with us for stage 2.
Awesome. Very
So
cool. I saw Nicola Cramner actually come on through. And so I saw her in the chat and she was like, let them race. Let them race. She was even coming on
there you
through.
go. I knew she'd say that.
Team 2020 came on
I
through.
knew
It's
it.
like, come on. It's a great race here and want the competition. She said it was a ton of fun and great to have her girls out there. So cool to see that the teams are encouraging the same thing. Great call. I think they're coming in from the race director too.
That just gave me the goosebumps. That's why we love these events, Nathan, because it made me think, oh, that's the right thing to do. That's so cool. That's what the sport is all about. So thanks, Nikki. Nikki Cranmer is one of the most respected team owners and directors. She and Kristen Armstrong, the 3-time Olympic gold medalist, have been partners with that 2020 team for a long time. And now we've got Chloe Dygert on that squad. All right, getting a good look at what they call Titans Grove. This is all part of the mega world that is Zwift and Watopia. But Nathan, Titans Grove, Fuego Flats, these would be familiar to people who Zwift, but to those who don't, maybe not as much.
Yeah, this is the course profile. So where they were starting out at the 0 kilometers, you can see there isn't a whole lot of elevation at all. That little bump in there is when they will before the 5K mark. That's actually where they go through the little oasis where you'll see the waterfall. Actually, at the beginning of the program, you saw that waterfall from the top. That's that section. It's a little 2% gradient, very, very short. After that, though, that first kick before the climb proper that's in red there, that's right as they take the right-hand turn, leaving what I call the little mini Las Vegas in the middle of the Fuego Flats. And then that right-hand turn, that first kick, that's entering Titans Grove. There's a descent and then the official start at that 10K or so mark of the KOM, 2.2% gradient, not a whole lot of gradient. You can really draft on it. There's some kicks in there, though. It's going to be helpful to kick in at 6 to 7 watts per kilogram through there. Put your climber on the front, hang on at 5 or so, that for those that can hang on for 5 watts per kilogram or so. And for at these A level, elite level, I think that's about what they'll be doing. And then it's a descent. You can see that kick I talked about on the back end, though. That 8% gradient there will matter to come over with some speed. You got to almost sprint over it to carry it through the downhills into the springs. And then after the springs, it's an all-out blast to the finish line. So that's our course profile for the day.
Nathan, that little sector, that last kicker you're talking about there, that is your worst nightmare if you're a rider who's struggling, because the stronger riders are going to want to pour it on at that point, right? So that's where you really find out how these teams have been able to coach themselves up in this. It's a really interesting discipline that we just don't see that much. The UCI kind of reintegrated this, but rather than national teams, they use professional, your trade squad. And it was interesting. I think I wish they would have probably stuck with, not probably, I'm going to just say it, they should have stuck with national teams, that's for sure. So going back in with CS Velo here, they're having a great ride. Now they're going by some riders that came out of a previous team. So I think that they're going to be allowing everybody to continue here. But yeah,
good call.
That's tough to watch.
KBS Elite went out from the gate. So just so you guys know, you're watching the riders nearby. It does look like one of the KBS Elites did jump the gun, went full gas as if he was TTing, it looks like. Got a good gap on everybody, but maybe going backwards first, waiting for when his team start is out there today. So we'll have to see how that ends up playing out here. Gleason, though, CS Velo, they're on the chase. We can see that their time currently is the best time. Not on the chase. They're actually leading things out. I mean, obviously, they're chasing above and beyond Cancer, who's a little ways ahead of them. They've put in a full-on 22 seconds, actually, or even a little more than that, over above and beyond Cancer. And as you can see, the time gaps between them at the top of the screen right now, 36 seconds. As that continues to come down with the 1 minute gap that they started with, obviously, CS Velo having a really good ride already out here today.
Nathan, absolutely a team to watch here. Elevate is well, they're the team of the defending champion, although he graduated from the Elevate Webplex team to the World Tour. That's James Piccoli's team last year. It was a really strong ride by Piccoli, but notable was the team performance there. And that team is absolutely going to be in the mix. So watch out. Now, we started them alphabetically. Typically, Nathan, you would see a team time trial would be seeded based on the GC, the general classification procedure. So this is in no way can you say that this has been seeded, if you follow me. This is one of the best teams out here. They happen to be starting very early, which is rare. However, this is a team. Well, we're watching now on the screen. You can see CS Velo. I'm talking about that Elevate team that had a 5:25, far faster than any other team right now at checkpoint 1, coming in at 4K. So there you go. The opening salvo's been fired. 4K check, 10K check, 16K check before they hit the finale at about 22.7 total kilometers. It goes by quickly out here, Nathan. This team is killing it. CS Velo, you're riding out of your minds. Congratulations on a very strong start. Let's see if you can back this up with a strong. Actually, you got to get to the middle part as well here. Picking up now on DC Bank, this Canadian team. Nathan, they always represent well in real life at the Tour of the Gila as well. This is the team of Travis Samuel.
Yeah, the amazing ride here so far from the Canadian team. 6.2 on the front, actually. Now, you got to remember, it's a long, it's not a super long race, but still 23K, 4K mark. It's essentially telling you, all right, who put in their best 5-minute effort? I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like, who put in, and can you hold on to that best that you put out there? Nobody's going to be doing their best 5-minute for the entirety of the race, right? So 5 to 6, maybe even out to 7 minutes here. But I think there's going to be a reality that'll start kicking in as they get into the back end of this course, closer to that those next markers here, 10K and 16K, as to who was reserving the energy correctly out here. Now we do see debut here now with Kill. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, click that coffee cup for Martin there, and you'll see magical things happen, he said.
Click the cup. Thank you, Martin. There we go.
That's what he said.
Appreciate that very much here. As I was wondering why it was showing. It needs to be based on position plus time there. So there we go. I was thinking I need to keep on explaining
Nathan,
why our
we had
graphics were coming through correctly.
A historic Zwift Community Live moment. I showed you how to do something.
That is historic. We need to clip that on Twitch right now, Twitch. Go ahead and clip that up.
Yeah.
So,
real
quickly,
well,
one shout out again here. 4,000 plus WTRL. Martin in the background is the one who's doing that. And, I think just one last shout out there too as well. They recently put in for Guinness Book of World Records largest team time trial in the world virtually. A pretty amazing job that they've done so far with pretty much, I believe, the largest community race out on Zwift every single week. So obviously a very cool format that they are able to also bring into the broadcast with all these graphics. We absolutely love it here as we're watching DC Bank. We did see Landis Truck just jumped out on a course as well. They're 1.6 in right now. I can see Walter Zwart out there as Jay Noonan. Let's go ahead and see if we can bring in that real quickly.
Nathan, Walter Zwart has been really strong, hasn't he? Well, good. You found him. Landis Trek, this team based out of Arizona. Don't sleep on them as well. This is another team that could be surprising some folks out here. Tour of the Gila has their race, their home race. I mean, typically when you fly into, if you think about it, Silver City, you might guess, Albuquerque would be the place to fly into. No, not really. You're still 5 hours away in Albuquerque if you're driving. So most people would use Tucson or El Paso would be the airports that get you to the 2021 Tour of the Gila, where I know I'll see a lot of these folks again in real life, and we can enjoy engaging in real person. But there you go, Nathan. Legion is out there as well. This team has the reigning U.S. national time trial champion. He's actually back-to-back champion, Corey Lockwood, Thomas Rivard, Lance Haydet. Okay, that Legion team is super strong. We'll be looking at them, I hope, next. As this right now is Landis Trek, holding on with 4 riders. Again, as we talked about Socks for Watts being a scrappy team, I'd say the same thing about these guys. They punch above their weight. And this sport, we're seeing riders coming out of the woodwork as far as talent, especially during this COVID-19 lockdown time. It's really interesting how we've started identifying riders to watch using this platform on Zwift. So there's Nathan moving over now. I'm going to guess that E is Eder Freire. What do you think of my guess, Nathan?
Corrected there. Munez is there as well, also coming out of Mexico. So it's going to be Hadet Lockwood, Corey Williams, as well as Tyler Williams. It looks like showing up on the day Rivard is there. So they've showed up with an all-star team, obviously, hammering away so far on the front. It looks like they're doing a pretty good job with their management as well. Rivard on the back at 4.9, 4.3 watts per kilogram. They're drafting well, 3.9. They're going to put, and you know, your drafting technique is going to be just as important as anything else. Look at the heart rate there, 182. You know, he just did a big pull on the front because he's sitting at 3.9, right? Yeah. So there's a reality that Rivard is now recovering in the back. He's looking for that 3.9, 4.1. But on the front, we are seeing Lockwood now coming up to the front. We're seeing it looks like Hadid now to the front as well. 6 watts per kilogram. They are doing an amazing job of managing their efforts. Who goes when, where, and how.
This is the Tibco of this race, Nathan. I have to say these guys are going to be incredibly hard to beat, especially the way they're working so well. Lockwood and Rivard are the last 2 winners of the Redlands Bicycle Classic. He's been a national champion as well as a U23, part of Axel Merckx's Action Hagens-Berman team. When you talk about Thomas Rivard, this team, every single rider on this squad is a star. You talk a lot about the Williams brothers and Tyler Williams. Well, I mean, it is. I don't know. This team has talent stacked up like cordwood, Nathan, and they are killing it right now. Their speed, 49 kilometers as they're rolling through this flat section here. I think this is the team to beat, to be honest with you.
We'll have to wait and see as it does play out, though. As the splits start to come in, I'm looking through. Legion came through with a 5:42, so absolutely flying on that split here. Let me go ahead and change the splits up here for everybody just real quickly so that they do populate well.
So I think the other team, sorry, Nathan, I think the other team that's going to be really pushing this level is going to be, well, I would have to say Wildlife Generation. They have some Alec Cowan, the Canadian, I believe Sam Boardman. I haven't seen the updated start list from them, but Alex Hone as well. Alex had an incredible Amgen Tour of California in its final edition. So there's a lot of horsepower on that team. That's our final team to start.
Project Echelon's not, they put on a race here, and I don't think they've shown up messing around. I saw them come through close to
our team.
5-minute plus here, so a little over at 4.3 watts per kilogram. This is the race organizers here as we're all looking at Zeke Reg there. Zimmer's there as well. Nair, Lutz, and Eric Hill's jumping in, it looks like, the race organizer and director here. So good to see they're out there pushing the watts and sweating away as well in the world of Zwift. I think that they're excited on the day, and we're waiting for their time to come in, but as it does, I think, and they did. They put in a solid time, it looks like, of 5:24. Huge effort up front. Are they going to pay for that? Because that is a monstrous effort. As the times do populate and come in, they will be updating here as best as we possibly can, everybody, just so you know. But it does look like there is 5:24. Yeah, they're currently leading things out, it looks like.
Nathan, you hear people talk about happiness watts and sock watts and all that. These guys are running on karma watts out here right now. I'm going to say 10, 15 extra watts just for everything that they've been doing. You mentioned Eric Hill. Actually, I might as well break the seal on this news. I heard that there's going to be a virtual Tulsa Tough. How about that, huh?
Yeah.
Crybaby Hill.
Well, Nathan is not confirmed yet, but yes, I believe we will be having a virtual Tulsa Tough here.
I forgot you had to confirm. But I heard, they're working on it, I should say. There's always something coming down the pipeline, right? Sorry, Nathan, I probably shouldn't have sprung that.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
Well, it's not official yet.
There's nothing official yet.
It's not official yet.
Conversations happening for a virtual Tulsa Tough. And how are we going to make a Crybaby Hill? Not make it. Zwift are not going to make it. I don't think any new roads for Crybaby Hill are coming anytime soon. But how can we simulate that the best as we possibly can on some sort of lap?
It won't be a team time trial.
No,
that's for sure.
That's for sure. That is for sure.
And one thing to your credit, we did the Redlands. This one we added the women, which was imperative, and I'm so happy. Obviously, that was 100% the right move, and the energy is continuing. And as we continue with this COVID-19 lockdown, I hate to say it, but we're still going to be locked down in early June. It looks like we're certainly not going to be going to in real life bike races at that point. There's been a lot of talk about this discipline, or maybe not team time trialing, but time trialing maybe is where we start to get back to in real life racing. But here's the key. This should be Kelly Benefits, correct? Kelly Benefits team, I believe, which is out of Baltimore, Maryland. And so Kelly Benefits was the original rally cycling, all those routes. There's a guy named John Kelly who has a real passion for cycling there in Maryland. This is a the team has been around for, geez, as long as I can remember, over 20 years, well, in that neighborhood. A lot of great riders like Jonas Carney or Alex Candelario rode for that squad. And taking a look now at Gaitish, this team, it's going to be interesting. They are missing a fourth rider. Either way, if he's up the road or behind them, let's figure that out.
We'll have to wait and see how that ends up playing out here. Interesting to see.
So what happens is
we are getting a couple of people mentioning specifically Hamilton United. I think Ed Veal here as well as Jay Rogers. Now we're seeing the Big Bird, Brad Bird. Good to see him. I've been commentating on him for quite a long time, actually. Good to see him jumping in here out of Canada.
And Nathan, Ed Veal, I believe, in this, all the people Everesting and what's been going on out there, I can't remember exactly, but Ed Veal, a Canadian who's been part of the USA Crit Series, a really strong racer for many years, he did something like the first guy to do 1,000 kilometers in one ride on Zwift a few months ago. That might not be specifically what it was, but it was something very, very close to that. Insanely, maybe, you know what it was? I think it was most kilometers in 24 hours is what
something
the effort was, and it came to 24.
Some sort of competition, I believe. That's a crazy amount.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's obviously got the endurance. So these guys, Hamilton United, are a new team that is, I love what they're doing. They're reinventing the way we organize teams and races and the relationship between the fans and the events, and just kind of rethinking things as we go into 2021. Nathan, you know as well as I do that change is happening at a more rapid rate than we've ever seen in the history of mankind right now. Things like Zwift. I mean, 5 years ago, nobody raced on Zwift. It was basically unheard of. It was awfully hard to explain what Zwift was in 2015. And now it's part of the lexicon. It's part of the culture. If you're someone who races, you're well aware of Zwift and what's going on. And I love what we've seen with this format. So Nathan, watching Hamilton United here, working their way through 23 total K. If you're just joining us, welcome. Our women's event has wrapped up. Our men well underway. We have 25 teams starting in alphabetical order. This is the Tour of the Gila, 34th year. We're doing it virtually this year. Nathan, I love the fact that we've got 3 stages. We've got this unique team time trial. Thanks to WTRL. We thanked Eric Hill, his team doing a good job. So our race organizer is actually racing. Pretty unique.
Yeah, always great to see. And the passion, that's because of the passion. A lot of times that things get put together like this because you love the sport, you love the events that you're into, and why so much work is put into it. Now, this is a Red Truck racing. I raced against these boys actually out on Crit City the other night, and they were no joke. They looked like they were actually practicing specifically for this when I raced against them, actually.
Oh, really? So good for them.
Yeah. And Fraser Moore, and he actually is, I believe that's the racer that took down one of the sprints in the Redlands, is it not?
Absolutely. The guy that beat Corey Williams.
At the line. So there's some firepower in this Red Truck racing.
They got watts for days. Absolutely. Watch out for this. So Red Truck is a Canadian brewery. They've been supporting racing for quite a while. And I think this will be the third team that I've made this comment, but don't sleep on these guys either. There's some real talent. Look at the numbers they have. They look like a marauding army, don't they? The Canadians are coming. The Canadians are coming. Yeah, and they're...
Now, I just want to highlight Legion LA 13:12 at the 10-kilometer mark. 13:12. CS Velo, we were talking about them early on. They set a screaming fast time of that 5:38 through, tied up with Stalis there. But Stalis lost a little time throughout the 10K, as you can see. So as we start to get into the business end of the racing, as we might say, the places where the race is won or lost, as they get into the climbing sections, we can see how things start to separate out. But this is a close race. The times are so much closer as we got 13:12 to 14, so, less than a minute separating the top 8 race teams.
Matt Stevens, the husband, remember we did those great volley rides, Nathan, on Tuesday nights for quite a while during last couple of months.
Winner of the Dirty
Matt
Kanza.
Stevens. He's Dirty Kanza 2017 winner. He's the husband of Lauren Stevens, and he is a beast, the king of Texas. So look at that. They're only 7 seconds out. CS Velo is right in between them. So 3 teams at that checkpoint within 7 seconds. And again, that's the 10K check that we're talking about now. So it's hotting up, Nathan, and we still have a couple of teams. Elevate, obviously watch for them. I love this Gateway Devo team out of St. Louis. This is very plucky team. These young men, they're from around the world. They ride on Trek bikes. They get great support from SRAM and Trek. And I just love what Chris Creed has been doing with that team. That's the team that Sepp Kuss rode for. He's now in the World Tour. So First Internet Bank, that's the team. I'm going to be looking for their time, 13:35 coming in. So, all right. Nathan, still waiting for Wildlife Generation, but I got to think that I thought I would see Elevate KHS coming in, but I see what's happening now. What we're looking at, our fastest times coming in again, probably a resort, I guess, in order, because that's going to get weird. As some of our teams are making that check at 16K now as well. Our first 3 teams through that point. Fast. Looks like Above and Beyond Cancer Centers.
Wanted to jump up to Above and Beyond Cancer as well as CS Velo, as CS Velo overtook Above and Beyond Cancer, has taken the actual physical lead of the race here out on course, actually, but time lead not it looks like third place currently with the 13:14. But I just wanted to highlight this section of the course here. They're leaving Titans Grove. They're going to be finishing up the race here. They're at the 18.6 kilometer mark here at this point for CS Velo. And this section of the course is so incredibly important to keep the speed as high as possible, 47 kilometers per hour. As I'm going to just try and get a good helicopter view here, if I can, of what we were talking about how important this section of the course is. You can see how much it undulates up and down and how much the speed changes depending on when you put the efforts out. You can see the groves that they left there all the way through Titans Grove off of the KOM. This is really the business end of the race here. The flats going into the finish line, yes, high, steady pace, but most of your time is going to be made through these bumps out here and how well you ride them and when you put the power down, as well as keeping the group organized to keep that speed snowballing, because you can make it snowball with the avatars on top of each other out there. So be interesting to see coming out of Titans Grove and going how the teams fare into that final I'd say 3K into the back into Fuego Flats for the finish line. As CS Velo just about to finish up their last 3K.
Yeah, thanks for that. That is definitely, when you look at it, understanding the course that you're racing on makes such a huge difference. That kicker that they get, it's definitely going to be challenging for riders to hold on to the guys that are pressing. I think we'll see a few teams losing riders at that point. So, again, CS Velo has been outstanding. Nathan, go ahead and hit the left of the coffee cup for us again, and we'll be able to resort. Start looking at closer.
Well, yeah, so the left of the coffee cup will help for once we get to the 16Ks. There weren't quite enough 16Ks through yet to really help us out. Then it just gets kind of confusing because if we want to look at the 10Ks, then
you can see the 16K. Let's work up that 16K check right now with the 21:29 East Ellis. That's a team I was just talking about with Matt Stevens. So that's going to be 17 seconds quicker than CS Velo, the team that we're watching right now. You're going to see, let's see if anybody gets much better than 21:29. So they were third fastest time at last check. Now we have a lot of teams racing, 25 squads, right, Nathan? So I have a feeling they're just starting to let the next wave will be coming at us here. Boy, this is a lot of data that we've got. 21:29, the fastest time, 21:46 for CS Velo second, DC Bank sitting in third right now. Again, just 6 teams through that third check. The final check, the finish line at 22.7K.
Let's go ahead and jump on over to another team that's just jumping into the climb. We'll definitely, as the riders come on through the finish line, we'll click back and get each one of their finishes. So at least every single one of the teams is highlighted. But we'll go ahead and jump back to what we can get on screen here with Cyrus. The Pros Closet has gotten out into Titans Grove, it looks like. And this is going to be a team to watch out for today, I believe. You can see the national champions kit there from Holden Camus. Obviously going to be one of the most experienced teams out on Zwift. Fully sponsored team for a Zwift esports team, actually. Ryan Larson on the back there. Matt Brandt, as you see coming through. Holden Camus, the current reigning Zwift national champion for the US of A. And then it's going to be Dempster. Dempster is racing from his bathroom at 2 a.m. right now. in Scotland.
Yeah,
That is
you know what's interesting?
This is amazing commitment to his Zwift team. That's awesome to see.
Well, Nathan, I also noticed the Vetus team is racing. Christopher McGlinchey and company, the Northern Irish riders. So same thing for them. That entire team is good. It's going to be 2 a.m. for them. So
and
that's
I say
really
watch out for them. Watch out for Vetus today.
The Vetus,
I think they're going to be a huge factor in this race.
Wildlife Generation and Vetus. Those are the two that I think Legion has probably the most concern about. Although we never know, do we? I mean, this is why we do it. It is so
on
much
the front
fun
there as well at 21:29. These are some amazing times coming in all around with Stalis really eking out a solid amount of time there, almost 15 seconds over the top of CS Velo.
Nathan. Big news here. Disaster time. I am really bummed. Elevate 24:31. So that is, they pulled the chute there. That is as bad as could possibly be imagined. So I don't know what happened. I'll look for some information from my friends out on the internet.
See if I can
but
find
I'm going to guess some
course
power
as well.
dropouts.
I would not be
Something had to have
surprised.
happened.
Something have had to happen there for sure.
I mean, that team is really, really good. They're one of the best teams we have in this race. So that, unfortunately, is going to just change everything. If you look at the next 2 stages, they are going to be wild cards now because they're going to really make it hard for the teams that want to control the next 2 days to do so, because they've got weapons on that team. They're going to be pissed off. There's no doubt about it. That is a disaster. So
interesting to see CS Velo come across the line here. They were fading a little bit. Heaven Beyond Cancer now just starting to bring back some time.
Look at this Legion, Nathan. 15 seconds quicker at that check. Legion coming in. So they are killing it, yet they're only 15 seconds faster than Estelas. We got ourselves a bike race, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to be going to the whip, flocking themselves like rented mules out here, because you're going to need to leave every last drop of blood, every last watt is going to be scraped off the bottom of the barrel. Okay. All right, Nathan, I'm going to just take a breath for a moment. We got a lot of teams out there, but everyone has started. We're going to start finishing up the Canadian DC Bank team. This is Nicolas Cote. They look organized. This looks like a squad, no doubt. Good job here. They're going to be very close to the finish as well.
Actually, yeah, and they are coming to the
sure
finish.
do.
DC Bank now, it looks like solid times coming on through for DC Bank at 5th at the last time. 29:03 currently.
They were only about 40 seconds behind Legion. They'll be our first team to finish. We're going to go back to CS Velo again. CS Velo.
These are a couple of riders who are just finishing up actually on the day. So they've already finished. They dropped those riders off and said, okay, boys, done and dusted, as you would say, and let them go in order to get across the line as fast as they possibly could. We do have Gateway Devo here now, though. 19.6 into theirs with 25:41. Their current time is sitting them in 7th place right now with a 21:59, 2 seconds off of DC Bank, who just crossed the finish line. We're going to see if they can bring it in within the next 4 minutes. They got about 3K to go, so it's going to be a tough ask of them here. They're going to have to really ramp it up to hold on to a top 10, I think, here.
Yeah, and you can see the exact issue here is you got to get all 4 guys over it. It doesn't matter if the 3 of you can do it. There you go. Nice job, Gateway Devo. This team has developed so many top riders here. It's a squad that they operate like a professional outfit. You learn a lot of things besides just how to be a great bike racer when you work with a guy like Chris Creed. So Hugo Scala Jr., a well-known rider, came from that out of Texas, part of the strong scene in Austin. And really the whole state of Texas does a great job with their racing. So we take a look at Hugo Scala Jr. Also, he's done some time in the collegiate world as well when we talk about our USA Cycling friends. But for 4 riders, they look pretty well organized right here. Let's take a look, though, that project. I apologize. I think that we're starting to see some more finishing teams, obviously starting them at 1-minute intervals. We're going to start bringing them home pretty quickly here. Start waiting for those best times. We'll start looking for some splits as well. It's amazing. Again, with 25 teams out here, you've got our first teams finishing just about the time that Wildlife Generation, our last team to start, is going to be coming through that 4K check. We'll still continue to try to keep you updated on what's happening at all the different checkpoints. But here we go. Gateway Devo now. Just a couple K to go. Less than a couple K to go. But they need 4, not 3, guys. Hold up. Stall the beans.
Does look like they are working
time off a 4th rider.
A little bit of time there over Hamilton United. Hamilton United started a minute behind them, And as you can see, Gateway Devo did put 17 seconds into them. So Hamilton United is going to have to pump it up just a little bit there. Brad Bird, White, Ed Veal, as you can see there, as well as Jake Rogers now. Still in the chase. We'll see if they bring it. That's 16 seconds is going to be a big ask, though, to bring back to Gateway Devo at this point. But Gateway Devo with only 3 riders here, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I have a feeling they'll give them the time and let them, but we're setting precedent a little bit here. Maybe they lost a rider to a dropout, a no-show. We'll have to wait and see how that ends up playing out here today after the race here.
Well,
18 seconds, not happening, I don't think. Now going back to Legion here, 3:11 back from that team, on the road, but currently sitting in where is Legion sitting here? Interesting to see.
There are leaders at the last check. They were the leaders by 16 seconds, I believe.
Well, look in here. SARS the Pros Closet 2015.
Oh, not anymore. Not anymore. Holy cow.
16K mark here. Project Echelon 2042.
And Echelon.
Whew. Legion of LA.
Boy, I gotta admit,
2119. Red Truck Racing, who I do have on the other screen over here, actually. Bring them in for a second. They're in 4th place. This is an all-out battle here into the final 7K, actually. It's going to be all about the final 7K for that. But with a minute, I'm not sure anything can be done about that.
well, the Legion guys are going to be stunned, to be honest, to hear that time didn't hold up. I would think anyways, because they've been on a good ride. Speaks to the quality of Project Echelon. That, again, is our host club here. They are knocking it out of the park right now. But, again, this savvy, the experience, and the horsepower that all comes together on, I would say, Canyon and Saris the Pros Closet, these are some of the first authentic, sponsored esports racing teams. This team has really come together over the last couple of weeks, this new sponsorship, and boy, they are representing incredibly well. Saris, the Pros Closet, again, that 2015, still got a couple teams to worry about through that checkpoint, but I don't see any reason to think. I'm looking for Wildlife Generation. I'm not even seeing them coming through at any of these checkpoints, so not sure what's happening there, but obviously they're not lighting the world on fire right now, unfortunately. So for them anyways, let's take a look. Boy, Nathan, did you expect Saris the Pros Closet to take it to teams like Legion quite like this? I mean,
yeah,
they've got more than a minute.
Being that familiar with the drafting in Zwift, being that familiar of how to control your avatar, when to go to the front. I mean, these guys, they week in and week out with. Let's be clear here. With prize money on the line in some of the races that they're a part of, there's a reason they were called the indoor specialists before Saris and the Pros Closet picked them up, is because this is what they do. This is what they focus on.
It shows. And
they, just to be clear as well, they are the most verified team on Zwift. They do almost weekly weigh-ins. They do dual recording. They upload dual, sometimes triple recordings of their power meters to make sure across all of their data that it is correct. They are just that good. They are just that good at Zwift when it comes down to it. And yes, it does not surprise me at all. That is a solid effort by Saris the Pros Closet.
And it speaks to Zwift. There's a gaming element. There's no power-ups or any of that going on out here.
But Legion,
like Nathan said, the drafting. Okay,
this is it for Legion. They're coming across the line. We'll get their time in just a second here. They just finished up, and they put in a huge effort there. 8 watts per kilogram, 9 watts per kilogram for a moment there. So Legion obviously trying to bring back some time as we're looking at guidance here from Kelly Benefits.
Well, and again, this is a stage race, so we have a few days to go, but Saris the Pros Closet is going to be stacking the top of the leaderboard if things play out the way it looks like they certainly are. I mean, at 16K, they should be, we're looking at Toronto Hustle right now, but again, a command performance from Saris the Pros Closet. Nathan, I was saying there is a gaming element that you talk about, the drafting, the tighter, all of these things that they have honed. They've sharpened the steel sword that they have in their hands out here. And we're going to be looking at Red Truck now. Red Truck holding on to a top 3 ride. I mean, they were just so Legion of LA sitting in second at that split, but these riders, Red Truck Canadians, were only 4 seconds behind at that split. So we know that Legion has finished, but these guys now should be about a little under 2K to go for the Canadians here.
Little under 2K.
Great
Yep,
ride by them.
They're going to be coming in here right now. Big ride by them. They're sitting in the top 5. So we'll see if they can bring it back any times. Maybe get on the podium here. It's going to be a tough ask, but there might be an ability still to make something happen here for Red Truck if they're able to put the watts down here into this final few. Elevate has finished. We'll have to wait and see how that ended up playing out for them as they've come across the line, I think, a little bit outside of the times that they were looking for on the day. 2015, 2042 Project Echelon. We're seeing Legion with a 21-20-19 at those splits there. Subaru Santa Monica was killing it there, almost right on par there with the 21-29 behind Red Truck Racing. So really the battle between Subaru and Red Truck Racing is on here to the line. They can make up the seconds here in these last few K.
Yeah, it has me scrambling. I mean, where's Vetus in all of this? Maybe
the last
Nathan,
one's the start, so that's
right. Maybe those
while.
are the teams we're still. That explains my wildlife generation question as well. I was expecting we would have seen a 4K split. Nathan, maybe they have 2 different pens that they're using, and we're
two
not
different
seeing.
Pens, but there is
that would explain it.
But they're so far. They're still not even. Some of them aren't even through the 16K yet, as you can see. Long day of racing still. So wildlife generation, as you can see, 1308 at the 10K, right? We're seeing, and
these get confusing.
They'll start to populate toward the top. If I click on the 10K, now you might see wildlife in this top spots here. We'll have to wait and see if they come on through. But yeah, there's 2 different pens out here today. As you can see, 1308 came in for wildlife generation at that 10K mark. At the 16K mark, if we go ahead and take a quick look here, 2015 wildlife generation, though, not through that section yet. So we're going to have to wait for them to get through that section out on course.
You can see how hard it is with all of these different checkpoints. I think probably we'll start looking at finish times here and see who's in the hot seat. With a few squads should have come across the line. So I'm going to guess that we start digging into that in a moment. This is the team to beat, no doubt about it. There's a lot of riders on this team still right in contention now to be the first ever virtual red jersey. Dempster, super strong. Again, as you mentioned, 2 o'clock in the morning where he's racing from out of Wisconsin there is Matt Brandt. But the Subaru Santa Monica team has certainly made themselves notable out here today, wearing that classic Zwift jersey. But these riders, Nathan, have been outstanding. I mean, this is better than a top 10 ride.
Yeah, huge ride here coming in. It looked like from SARS to Pros Closet. We'll be jumping in with their results here in just a second, guys. We are starting to get results as they do come in. We'll bring them to the forefront here. And here we go with the first section of results as they come in. We're still waiting for them to load up, everybody. So as soon as they do, we will bring them on in. We just want to make sure that they are absolutely correct. We don't want any early calls here. But 25:39 currently for the Subaru Santa Monica team. SARS Pros Closet just crossing the line. This is the second pens. They're finishing up their race here. We do see Red Truck Racing here. A couple of the stragglers coming across the line. So those are the riders that still needed to finish up. Rio Grande Elite now. 28:53, solid time so far. Still waiting to see what the times were for the leaders that first finished here. They haven't populated just yet. As soon as they do, we'll bring those on in, just so everybody knows. We are still waiting on them to come through.
Well, Wildlife Generation deserves a ton of credit. They really stepped up as a team to help save this edition of the In Real Life Tour of the Gila. A huge commitment to that event to keep it rolling and to helping Jack move into a 34th edition. So I'm certainly wishing them good luck out here today. We're going to see, I expect top 5. That's why I was so stunned earlier, but same thing with Elevate. You never know for these teams that haven't done a tremendous amount of esports racing. There's a steep learning curve out here, although most of these teams would have done Redlands, so that will help quite a bit. Rio Grande has been out there, that's for sure. This team based in Colorado, Fort Collins, Colorado. I'm going to be heading over to the Rio to eat, Nathan. I'll buy you a burrito when I'm there because they are awesome. It's a longtime supporter. Pat has been, you know who rode for Rio Grande? TJ Van Garderen rode for that team at one point. He went on to do pretty well in the Tour de France, didn't he? Still racing well for Education First. So taking a look here at what we've got in front of us now, looking at what should be possibly a top 5, maybe better. Subaru Santa Monica in full effect here, Nathan. They're bringing home a great ride. This is going to be one of the stunners coming out of stage 1 of this Tour of the Gila.
Yeah, I'm looking through here so we've got two different pens, guys, and I thought up front, I'm going to give a quick explanation. We had two different pens. I thought up front that the pens would be populating together, but instead they are populating separately here. And so we have something as far as the results go on the splits. They will all populate together on the main results, just so everybody knows. But as you can see here, currently with this
That explains a lot, to tell you the truth.
So looking through it, it does look like the riders here. Well, we'll have to wait and see how this ends up working out here, though. For Santa Monica Subaru, they were having a solid ride here, but have fallen back. It looks like to 7th place, 21-19 between them and Legion of LA. Actually, can they bring this back? Is going to be the question, though. It's going to matter. It was tied at the fixed 16K here, 28-20, 2021 here now. Big pull off the front here.
What's really significant here is that Vitas has just put in a split that's very, very close to Saris the Pro's closet. So we were talking about Christopher McGlinchey, the Northern Irish rider, and his team, Vitas, out of the United Kingdom. Well, there you go. It's going to be interesting. These two teams. Now, we also have seen Vitas out quite a bit on this platform. McGlinchey had a huge esports win a couple of weeks ago, going up against the best in the world, riders like Matthew Vanderpool. So that's the battle royale as it's shaping up. And then only 13 more seconds back to Project Echelon Racing. That's our host club here, boy. So they're more than holding their own out here. But Nathan, thank you for explaining that. It's going to be interesting how we integrate together all of these splits, but you can see that Vitas, the team that's really giving. Oh, and there's Wildlife Generation, right where we thought they would be, or close to where we thought they would be. They're 6th fastest, right behind Legion of LA. So that makes a lot of sense. They're starting right now to fill in the top teams. It looks like the who's who of this Tour of the Gila being sorted out during this team time trial, Nathan. And we're pretty close now. Not going to be all that long until we've got all the boys back home and we're sending the results down to Gila Hike and Bike. Get them up on the window.
We're looking to get back in with Wildlife Generation right now, actually. Cormac McGill is actually out on course. A few of the images, though, not working out with us for the moment here.
Yeah, this is the team that has Alec Cowan, Alex Hone. Alec, the Canadian, was on the Floyd's Pro Cycling team last year. Hone, out of Kansas, was riding for Avolo. They both now come, unfortunately, they already raced at Tour Langkawi this year, where the team had success. But Kent Ross, also on the team, super strong rider. So Wildlife Generation, they could be better than 6th if you watch how they close this out. They've got some, again, Hone was in a leader's jersey at the Amgen Tour of California racing for the USA Cycling, the national team, the same team that had Travis McCabe finishing 2nd to Peter Sagan in a stage. It was a really amazing week for those young men. So watch out for Wildlife Generation. They're going to be bringing it, no doubt. However, obviously, Vitas, the biggest danger right now for our current leaders. And Nathan, you let me know when you've got any new information. But this is going to come down to the millisecond. It looks like, well, I should say second. This is going to be fun. Hang in there, folks. We got ourselves a Donnybrook Stage 1 Team Time Trial Tour of the Gila. It's on.
And I believe we've jumped back in with him, guys. Apologies on that. Once in a while, our broadcast for the grabbing the video images just does not like us one bit, once in a while. And so we do see it does look like Tag Cycling just crossing the line. Kundafir from SC Gutenplan.
Oh, come on, Frank.
Collis is also in here as well. Team Tour 2000. So good to see them coming up toward the line as well. Sorry for the up front. Just other apologies, guys. We wanted to catch everybody's finish at the least to highlight every single team. Team time trialing, obviously, even in the real world, once in a while, video images and catching them all as they come across the line can be difficult. But scratch racing always much easier when it comes to Zwift racing in order to cover. But now Team Tour 2000. To the line here with the 28. This is a screaming fast time, actually. Interesting to see here as the results start to come in. I think that this time is going to be right up there in the top 10. They still have a lot of riders.
Yeah, look at this running time. Okay. So what do we have here? 28:14.
Screaming fast time coming on through here.
Yeah,
Let's go ahead and move our way back here. Toronto Hustle now. 27.90.
So
they're going to be a full minute back, actually, or more.
Yeah, that team out of the United Kingdom, Andrew Crocker, Andy Davenport, Ben Miller, Ben Thomas, Charlie Revell, James Brown, the hardest working man in cycling, and Josh Gray. So, again, 2 o'clock in the morning for those guys as they're out there racing. Team for 2000 Callis. I'm very interested to see what that time is and how it stacks up. Hold on. Wow. All right, Toronto Hustle. So here's the Canadian team now. Is all right. Just kind of boy, a lot of moving pieces out here. That's for sure. As we're actually getting down to it, the final teams are going to be bringing it home now.
And we do see currently, as things start to populate here, Legion LA are holding right now as the data comes in.
Okay.
We'll wait for the teams as they start to come in. Legion LA, I do not believe is going to hold on to that top spot as the data does come on through for the times in the results. We'll have to wait on it. Essentially, it's like sitting at the bottom of the hill, waiting for the downhiller to finish up. Vitas Pro Cycling, Toronto Hustle. Now we've got Vitas here to the line as well. Solid ride. Vitas, 26:37 currently. These boys are absolutely flying. Not a whole lot to finish up here for them at this point. I'm going to jump back in with them as fast as I can. Again, you guys, I am not the person clicking. Zwift is clicking itself around right now. Just so everybody knows that was not at all on purpose whatsoever.
Let me just bring everyone up to speed then who's joining us. It looks like a 2-team race at this point by our best estimation. We're expecting it to be the Saris Pros Closet Squad. They had about 15, 16 seconds in hand at the final checkpoint. However, that Vitas team has some huge engines on it, and they were coming, no doubt. So this one is certainly yet to be decided as we're looking at our final teams out here on this nearly 23K. There we go, picking up the Vitas team. Now the red jerseys here, not sure what's going on. 2 riders together, less than ideal. No matter, there's no way you can slice this one up and sell it as a full pound because there you go. Okay, that will be the time, 27:44-ish. Let's call that our new leader by a long shot. Unless I haven't seen a time yet coming in for Sarah's Pros Closet. They should have already finished. So I'm going to just take a breath. Hold on. We'll let things populate because we'll see if that was enough. And, now we're seeing Project Echelon. They finished a while ago. They're coming in a little bit quicker. 42 seconds quicker. Saris is your new fast time, 27:32, and that's going to hold. So unless Wildlife Generation can pull a rabbit out of a hat, I think Saris has done it, Nathan. We're going to see in a moment that Vitas will be the second fastest team once that populates. They have finished. And, give it a minute here.
I'm going to go, we're going to go ahead
and
keep on giving this a minute, everybody. So let me talk through the data here. Let's go ahead. So we're looking at Saris the Pros Closet. As things start to update here, 27:32 currently, right now, is the fastest time. If we take a look back, though, and see what Vitas did at that 16K mark, they were, it looks like, flying out there at a 20:31. Saris the Pros Closet a little ways back at that section here. So I think we may see a lot of changes coming up here as everything continues to populate. So we're waiting for all the data.
I'm going to stick to my guns and say that Saris Pros Closet team, I believe, Nathan, I get it, what you're saying. I think that was enough, to tell you the truth. I think 27:32 is going to do it. We'll see. It's going to be fun to find out. Either way, it's close, and we're going to have quite a GC battle coming up. So top 5 teams will be, there will be 3 new teams in the top 5 here in about a minute once that data comes through. So, wow, Nathan, that was great.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait for the data to populate here. Obviously, as you can see, the table is continuing to update itself here. So as we wait for that to come on through, I'm going to see if we can also get something outside of the top 10. Would be really great to have as well, just like a full results board. As soon as we do grab something along those lines, we'll be able to read through, because I do see your comments coming on through. See Wesman hanging out here, as well as James Ebby saying, how did Landis Trek do? Just finishing looking to see their time.
Hold on.
So yeah. We'll grab those as quickly as possible. You know, what's funny, Dave, is very similar to the mountain bike world, when, at least for me, it's got these memories coming back when everybody runs on over to the results board, and the guys in the I remember Lay from Wars or wherever, at least in Wars, that's what I was racing all the time, Wisconsin Off-Road Series. We printing out papers like, just hold on, I'm printing the data, it's coming. And then everyone's waiting for him to staple up. And we have this expectation in the computer world that, look, don't I have a result? And yes, usually if it were a scratch race, you just have a result.
Our friends. Yeah, our friends from, obviously, Nathan, as a race announcer, you sit right next to the people doing the results for many, many hours over many years. And I always love their line, do you want them now or do you want them correct?
Yep, exactly.
Because and if you want them now, well, you're going to get them quicker if you let the people working work instead of keep bothering them. And you'll get what you want faster. So I'm sure their hard work. Either way, that was really a fun way to start this 34th edition of the Tour of the Gila. I just heard from Holden Camo, telling me that was one way to start the weekend. Nathan, last night, Lauren and Matt Stevens were telling me that they actually, you know how, like, if you're a knight, you need a squire to help you with your armor and your sword and your horse and all that. Well, they now need a squire at their house because they used to help each other when they were racing, getting water bottles. Because you have to remember, for those of you that don't Zwift, and especially race on this platform, once you start, you're locked in on your bike. There's no way you're getting off to go to the bathroom or go fill a water bottle or answer the door. You are locked in. What happens if you get off your bike for 15 seconds is your race is over. So if you need anything, you need someone to help you.
You need somebody next to you. This is true. It's so, isn't that funny how even
you have your kids do it, Nathan,
world, right? Yeah. Right. Well, I've got 5. Yeah. I've got 5 Soigneurs hanging out, ready to go. I don't know if I trust them with a tool in their hands though, or changing out a wheel or anything. But I definitely asked for some water bottles here. Dad, it needs a banana. I'm in the Zwift 100. We're 2 hours in, and I didn't bring enough sugar. Like 100%.
I'm going to guess that might be the number one thing that riders regret. I watch how someone like Krista Doble-Hickok or Charlotte Backus, how they prepare. You'll see them laying out the gel shots and the blocks, and having if it's a 2 hour. Well, typically we don't race much more than an hour, but leaving a bottle with some ice in it. It's nice to have cold drinks as well. It just makes a difference every little bit to find some comfort, because you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable when you're out there in these races. The fans are key. A lot of people, you have to remember that these avatars that you see are a real person somewhere in the world working incredibly hard. The machines are quiet, whether you're on, there's multiple people that make them, and at Zwift, I think that they're all loved and respected and appreciated. I don't need to mention a brand. They're all good, actually, no matter what you're using. That's one of the great things about bikes and smart trainers, Nathan. People don't really make junk anymore. That's one of the nice things. If you've got one, you're probably doing okay. We all have our preferences, that's for sure. So I know that Martin and his team are working hard. You guys hang in there out there.
I believe we got it here.
Great.
Actually, you would be surprised. I actually have live video of Martin. He's listening in on everything
you do?
right now. And we can
Is he sweating?
He doesn't know. He actually looks very calm and just like, okay, I'm typing really fast over here. So Martin's looking good. We could bring him in even if we wanted. But let's go ahead and take a quick look at the results actually here, as it does look like he has been able to get the top 10. I'm going to throw you guys the top 10 here for the men's
Let's
side
chat
of
about
things.
that.
And then we can take a look at the top 22 that I do have a look at here. But look at this. Here we go. Cyrus the Pros Closet. Toronto Hustle. Look at that.
Good for them. Now that's the stunner.
Result. That's a big result.
Wow.
Vitas Pro Cycling showed up to race. Whew. And 27:59, all going under 28 minutes. Project Echelon just outside with 4 seconds there. Team Tour. I said Tour looked fast, just ahead of Legion of LA. Red Truck Racing, Wildlife Generation, Cormac McGeough and his team out there killing it. Hamilton United, CS Velo with the strong start, faded though, back to 10th place though. Solid results there though for that top 10, Dave.
Yeah, I got to say, Toronto Hustle stands out for me as the stunner performance. Great job. That team's been around a few years. Cyrus, the Pros Closet, no surprise. It speaks to experience. You have to have the engine. These guys not only all have the engine, they know how to play the game. So congratulations. We'll see who their first rider over the line was. And then Venus, I actually thought they'd be second. So that was the big surprise that Toronto Hustle gets 5 seconds inside of that time. Project Echelon Racing, again, we talked about them a fair amount tonight. They deserve it. They're our host club. Eric Hill, I got a lot of comments, Nathan, thanking Eric and Jack for bringing the women's race on board as well. That is really cool to see that that's what we did. I'm happy we're there. So, Team 4 2000 Callis, those guys are going to have a hard time falling asleep tonight, Nathan. All that adrenaline going through your body. It's like working in a restaurant. You finish work at 11 o'clock. You're not going to bed at 11:30. Believe me, you're going to be up for a little while. So, shake that one off. Watch some Netflix or something. We reset. It's a quick turnaround, Nathan. They're going to be right back at it, the men and the women, tomorrow morning.
Super quick turnaround. I got a long night. I got Eurosport actually at around like 4 a.m. actually happening too. So we got a lot going on here at Zwift Community Live. It's been really cool to support the Polish Eurosport stream though as well. But tomorrow, after that, I'm going to be doing we're going to be doing stage number 2 on the circuit race. So it's going to be fun to have that road race. Now, I do see questions coming through outside of the top 10. We don't have a pretty graphic for it, but DC Bank with the 29.43. I'm seeing Gateway Devo just outside of that with the 12th place there. Estalis there, 30 minutes and 4 seconds. Subaru Santa Monica. Oh my gosh, it was such a close race between 13th and 16th place was like 1 second. Kelly Benefits right behind Subaru Santa Monica, 30.06.5. First Internet Bank Cycling there, 30.09 at 16th place there. Rio Grande followed up by Support Clean Sport Gutenplan Coaching. Landis Trek with a 30.41 in 19th place. Above and Beyond Cancer there with a 30.44. Literally tied. I mean, literally tied. 20th place, Tag Cycling Racing Team. 30.44. I'm talking to the 10th of a second. 0.7.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That is amazing that they came in that close.
I'd like to commend everybody, Nathan, as far as the riders go, because these time gaps from the winning team, Sarah's Pros Closet, down to our 22nd place team, not that huge. All things
4
considered.
minutes tops. 4 minutes tops.
Those teams that are not in your top 10 should feel not so bad about things.
No, that's huge. And they can do a lot with that if they've got some climbers on the Queen Stage. You know, there's a reality that there's a lot to do on Medio Fondo. That's a no joke course. That's a long race, lots of climbing, and they can really do some damage. You know, Team Time Trial, obviously you're putting your time out there to begin with, but they can make some work. They can make some time up in the next 2 days for sure.
Well, Nathan, that's perfect because the Gila Monster is exactly what you described. That is 100 miles of the most epic day of racing in the Gila National Forest that you could ever imagine, and an insane amount. A lot of things could change out here. That's for sure. We've got a great GC battle. The battles for the stage wins are going to be incredible, whether it's the men or the women. This was a great example of how the spectrum of racing that we do in esports. Nathan, I'll be the first to thank our team at WTRL. That stands for World Tactical Racing League. On Thursdays, we do a great team time trial. If you enjoyed this, we don't do it just at the elite level. Yeah, we have our Premier League, or they have their Premier League, but there's racing all the way down to the D level. I could find 4 knuckleheads like me, Nathan, and do it. And so you'll have fun with it, that's for sure. We've got a long way to go at the Tour of the Gila, that's for sure. But to all the racers that showed up and raced your hearts out, sure appreciate it. You're the best show in town. And Nathan, you know I appreciate you, man. Great job. As always, you're the maestro out there. I mean, if you guys only knew how many things. Nathan has 5 computers going. He's on his phone, his iPad. It's just incredible what you do. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks, Nathan.
Appreciate that. You know, guys, I just love it. The same way with Eric and obviously Martin, and as well as you put passion into I love this stuff, and love doing it doing this. And we'll look forward to tomorrow, guys. Stage number 2 for the men and the women will be out for the circuit race for Tour of Gila stage number 2. Be on the watch out for announcements of the standings that'll be coming from Project Echelon. They'll be letting everybody know where things stand as we go into stage number 2 tomorrow, and we'll let you know at the start of the show. Make sure to hit those follow buttons so you know when we do go live. We'll be here a little bit before 11 a.m. Central Standard Time for stage 2. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm Nathan Garrett, Dave Toll, Zwift Community Live. We will see you tomorrow. Right on.